All right. It is time for a stream. Oh boy. Well, I think we left the last stream that we were working on Bazzite. I worked a little bit on it after the stream ended. And I know I said I wasn't going to move my main system for a long time. But I lied. You should have seen this coming. You should have seen it. Because I really like it. I really dig it. I like the nice change in the system. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I am just enjoying this new type system that I am a complete noob at. But I don't know. I look at it and I'm just like, this is a lot of fun. Now, what I've done offline is I really started figuring out how this works. I've been calling Bazzite an immutable file system. It's not. It's called an atomic desktop. If you're like, immutable, atomic, what's the difference, Titus? Well, think of atomic as like an in-between immutable, and like immutable is like Steam Deck. Like anything outside the home directory just gets blown away every update, right? That's the immutable. Atomic is kind of like that, but for USR, for the system resources, not the ETC in system configuration and other parts of the system. So everything outside of the USR folder is kind of fair game. So it gives me some customizability, some flexibility where the immutable wouldn't, but it gives me the security of immutable file systems to where I won't blow it up. In theory. I mean, we'll see. I mean, we're really going to push this thing to the maximum. If there's a way to break it, I'll find it. But so far, I really like it. So instead of saying immutable, we've gone atomic. I really dig that. I think that's so cool. How's it going? Faye, Drummer, whole bunch of people in chat. Love it. Love it. It was so great. Oh, so much fun. Oh. Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Like Chrome OS is immutable. You can't change much in the system. It's immutable. Steam OS is immutable. But Bazzite is atomic. I love it. So I haven't wiped the Arch install yet. We're going to do it live on stream. I figured I'd save the fun stuff for you guys to sit there and roast me with. There's nothing better than watching me destroy my system. So anytime I got to a spot where I'm like, wow, this could go completely wrong, I said, well, I need to save that for the stream. So that's what we're going to do today. That's what we're going to do today. Now, offline, I did manage, if we go to my LSP PCI, I did manage, oh, 1 second, we need a little bit more info. If we look at 75 here, I do have quite a few PCI devices, but you'll notice we do have VFIO already working. So at the very end of that stream, the last stream we did with Bazzite, that one actually did work. The very last thing we did, I just was like, it's probably not going to work. I'm closing it down. And then I came back like 30 minutes later and then rebooted, and I was like, oh, it worked. I didn't anticipate that. So that's kind of cool. So we're good to go for that. So the card is properly stubbed, which is awesome. Well, I haven't managed to break it yet. Let's not say I haven't managed to break it. Because give it time, I'll find a way. Life always finds a way. It just is how it works. Oh my gosh. So the other thing I found out is, so with an atomic system, you can't just use DNF install. So how am I, well, let's just launch into Thorium, right? We got Thorium over here. So I got my workspaces kind of set up, tweaked KDE a little bit to be more DWM-ish. And how do I install this? Now, you can do flat packs, of course. That's nothing new. You can do app images. And the Bazzite team runs something really interesting. Now, if you've ever dealt with app images in Linux, a lot of people swear by them, some people hate them. It's a bit of a mixed bag. There's the app image installer or launcher project that I've always used on GitHub. It's a bit janky, but it gets kind of like that app image installed for your system. And it gets the job done, but it's not the prettiest thing. Bazzite's done something different. See, this is why I really, really like Bazzite, because they've done a lot of things different. It's not just copy pasta like you see everywhere. They've done and used a system called Gear Lever or something like that. Shit, I'm saying the wrong thing, aren't I? Gear. You don't know. I am. I actually said the right thing. Look at that. It happens every once in a while. Gear Lever, a utility to manage app images with ease. I have never seen this program in my life, but it's awesome. It's so much better than that app launcher crap I was using forever. Like for the last 4 years, probably I've been using that one. But this Gear Lever that Bazzite's using, if I ever, let's say I go back to Arch, which let's face it, that's going to probably happen sometime because I just can't quit you. But there's so much to learn over here, which is so cool. And Gear Lever is a good way to manage app images. So you got app images, you got that, but then you start to introduce DistroBox. Now, here's the thing that happens with the Linux community is you have just like these really religious cults of, oh, I'm a Debian user or I'm an Arch user. And then you got people like me that are like, I don't really care. Whatever, just throw me in there. As long as it's Linux, we'll get it done. And Gear Lever is another thing that kind of pulled out, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So that I learned that, and then I started diving a little deeper. I probably should have streamed this when I was doing it because I was up until like midnight or 1 just messing around. But like over here, this PTY SX, this new terminal, you might notice there's containers built into the terminal, and these containers are an integration of DistroBox. And if you're not familiar with DistroBox, what are you doing with your life? Not having fun, because now, like, you can just make stuff and then integrate it directly in your system. So, like, I integrated GH directly into my system. I couldn't do a DNF install GitHub-CLI because I can't use DNF, right? And there's no app image or something for that binary. Well, what am I going to do? Well, you might also notice I have Starship Terminal too. So if you look, that terminal's kind of pimped out. How'd that happen? How'd I install Starship? How'd I install Zoxide? So when I'm editing my website, how did I do that? And that is where the magic of DistroBox comes in. In DistroBox, I'm not going to go crazy into here because honestly, I need to make a video probably showing this. But the gist of it is you can just make DistroBox enter Arch. And now we can do like a paru-syu. This will actually have Arch in a container. So you can install anything I'm missing. So let me think of something I'd want from Arch from a binary perspective. Something that I'd use all the time that I haven't yet installed over here. Probably like, do I have NVMe? Let's see. I'm going to just create a new tab. We're going to call this one NVMe. Yeah, I don't have NVMe. So let's install NeoVim via Arch. So we'll go paru.s and we're going to go NVim. It's actually NeoVim. So we're going to install NeoVim 0.95. Yes. Pretty cool. All right, so NeoVim's installed. Well, how do we get that over here on our terminal to actually use it? Like, obviously, we have no NeoVim over here on our Bazzite instance, but in our container, we have NeoVim, right? Well, that's interesting. Well, we can go DistroBox, export, bin, and then we just point to USR bin NVim. And then it's exported. So let's exit. I'm going to go ahead and close this terminal. We'll go neofetch. You'll see, hey, okay, we're back in Bazzite. in Fedora. And if we type NVMe, what? What is this sorcery? What is this black magic that I have harnessed? It's so cool because now we've integrated everything directly in to this. We're using Arch on top of this atomic desktop, and we can also integrate pretty much anything I want. You might notice, well, it's right down here. We have Synergy going. It works for apps too. You can just throw apps on any kind of container using DistroBox and then just export it to your main system, and it integrates it directly into your start menu. It's kind of crazy. It's wild. This is perfect because then you never really blow up your main system and you have every program that you could possibly want at your fingertips without having to really do anything other than what I just showed. Kind of crazy. So if you haven't installed Bazzite yet, you're going to probably do it by the end of this stream. That's kind of wild. So anyways, that's kind of what I thought. Very much like NixOS. That's a good observation. That's kind of crazy. And with all of, you know, the custom kernel that it's using as well, it's using an F-Sync kernel, by the way, with a lot of gaming patches. So it just works a lot faster. It's kind of amazing. I'm going to say kind of amazing probably at least 50 more times in this live stream, so buckle up. Please do a macOS Sonoma VM with a GPU pass-through. I think I might, just to kind of show it. We do need to get into the actual pass-through now that we've done this. I don't know how we're going to actually install Looking Glass. Now, I might actually... Let's just go over to the Bazzite Looking Glass. Let's see if anybody else has kind of like a little bit of a walk through or run here. This is just, the Bazzite team has like a shim that they're using, which is kind of interesting. But let's see if we can find a Looking Glass starting point. Because there's a lot of different ways to skin this cat. How are we going to do it? Do we install it through DistroBox? Do we build it? Do we rebase it with like an RPM OCI command? There's a lot of different ways to go about it. So that's where I'm kind of at. Ever dabbled in Kubernetes? Yeah, I've gone through some Kubernetes. I haven't really used it in production very much, though. At the end of the day, I always end up using Docker just because it's what I know. What is using all my RAM? I don't know. How is my RAM? What is it? I got 9 gigs of usage right now. Maybe BTOP. Let's well, BTOP's probably something I'd probably want on here. Let's see what we got. Patrick, thanks for the gifted subs, man. Let's try BTOP real fast. Let's go DistroBox, enter Arch. We're going to do paru s btop. See, there's always commands you forget. You're just like, I need that. And then we're just going to go DistroBox, export, -- bin, usr, bin, btop, exported. All right, now we're clear all that out. Now we have btop in our main system. So somebody asked, what's using all our memory? We could do tree sort, probably E. Let's see. Okay, that's that. Let's go. I don't think I can do it by how to, because it sorts by CPU over here. What is the options? I got Nord, Vim keys. I might actually add that, but I wanted to see about, let's go to memory. I wanted to see if there's a, anywho, I don't know. I haven't used Podman yet. There's a lot of things we can do. Thanks for the sub there, Wicked. Yeah, I saw the Ben Skaggs news, him moving to NVIDIA. I think that's great. like I said, I think a lot more people will start to use more of Linux. It just needs more attention from the actual publishers. Steam is obviously the one leading the charge here, which is awesome. Why it's come as far as it has, but stuff like Bazzite's also going to contribute. All right, let's see what we got. What do we have? I think starting this off, we got to figure out how to get Looking Glass on here. And I think Hikari mentioned here, there is some modules, and I almost want to build it directly on the system, but I don't think we can do an install. And I think that's actually okay. So I think what we want to do is just copy the binary directly to .local bin and do a direct build. So I'm not going to do anything fancy here, just because this has so much interaction from the actual system level itself. I don't want to do like an app image or anything like that. And I don't want to be doing distro box from a container. I really want it sitting directly on the kernel. So I'm going to do a direct build here and we'll see how it goes. Now, do I have... This is all just stuff I've cloned. I think... Yeah, no, so we have quick pass-through here. Let's remove LORP and NeoVim. Oh, we don't have trash. We also need to get trash going. Let's just go... I think I might add an alias too, to make this a little easier. I think I use trash-CLI. Yes. If you don't use trash.cli, it basically gives your RM command an undo button. You get a little trash can associated with it. So let's go distro box, export, --bin, USR bin, trash. I think it's just trash. Although trash empty, trash. I think we got to export each one individually. Well, let's go list and restore. We'll go trash RM too. All right, cool. So now we can just go, let's say I want to remove that. Perfect. So now my build directory is nice and clean. Another thing I really like from the CLI that many people don't know is TLDR. I think I've made a couple shorts about it and stuff, but we'll see. So yeah, Looking Glass is a callback to Alice in Wonderland, but what Looking Glass does is you can have your Windows instance running in a VM and pass through a PCI card to it. Now, without Looking Glass, what you have to do is then physically have another HDMI cable plugged into that pass-through card directly to your monitor. Well, that kind of sucks because then you have to have a monitor with two HDMI inputs, and then you got to change your input anytime you launch your Windows instance to get that native throughput. Kind of a meh kind of solution, but that's how PCI pass-through worked before Looking Glass. What Looking Glass does is it copies the frame buffer directly from your graphics card into your host system. So your host Linux system will literally get a frame-by-frame copy of the VM. So now you don't have to have two HDMI cables, and you have native performance. I remember I made a video about it, and I think I'm going to stop making videos about like PCI pass-through just because, one, it's really complex. Most people are not going to be able to do it. And two, too many people screw up virtualization, and if you can't get virtualization right, Looking Glass is not going to be any better for you. But basically the long short of it is there's a lot of comments like, oh, it's laggy for me, or oh my gosh, the input latency, and I'm like, bro, you're doing it wrong. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. Is you've definitely screwed up if it's laggy or latency or you got anything going on, because it is a native experience, meaning I can play any game and it's as if I dual booted into Windows and I'm playing on hardware. I won't know, you won't know that it's a VM. It's just that good. So that's why I do VFIO pass-through with Looking Glass. I'll do it on live streams all day long, but I'm never going to do a main channel video on it, just because it's just a pain in the butt and most people will not be able to replicate it. Yeah, there's no splitting your GPU. Now, there is something called, like, I think it's a SRIOV, and in the enterprise space, there's ways like NVIDIA Grid and other ways to carve up your GPU. You should be able to do that, but the problem is a lot of graphics card companies don't want you doing that, so they have a lot of artificial blocks to make sure you don't. Because SRIOV should be a thing, and you should be able to just have one really beefy PC GPU and then carve it up and then have multiple VMs instances. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to do that in theory. But in practice, there's a lot of roadblocks, and those companies, NVIDIA, AMD, don't want you doing it. And they've made life very difficult for people trying to do that. It's just not worth it. So that's why we have 2 GPUs and just do a pass-through. It's really the only way to get this same performance, and why that's the case. Should we do Looking Glass 7 RC? For, you say it has better latency? I mean, I didn't have any problem with the stable version. That's the thing. Let's look at lookingglass.io, I believe it is. Some Ordinary Games made a video about splitting RTX 4090 with Hyper-V. Okay. Yeah. Mahmoud, he's good. I like the fact he has such a huge audience, and sometimes he just does these deep dives. I think he just did like a Pi-hole, and then before that he did an Arch Linux install. I think that's awesome. I think that's so cool to see big creators like that dive into this type of stuff. Now, me personally, I hate Hyper-V. I really do, and there's so many little nuances to it, and Windows really screws up Hyper-V scheduling a lot of times. At least the last times I really messed with it on my system. So I don't really like splitting up things using Hyper-V on my main box, and I really hate running Windows as my host. I really like Linux being my host and not having to deal with all that shenanigans that comes with Windows as the host. Send me a hug. All right, man. Virtual hug coming your way. All right, we're going to go to download. Let's see what we have. So I've been using the stable version, which is B6, for quite some time. The B7 RC1 is out, and it's about a month old right now. It's not a stable release and a release candidate. I mean, we could always switch. I kind of want to wait for the stable release, though. I don't really want to be running that. Because I didn't run into any problems. So that's why. I kind of want to just grab the stable version. And that's already what I have set up on the client side, too. But we could always change it out. It's not like it's all set in stone. Another thing we need is Ramina. Probably let's grab Ramina this time instead of just doing an Arch install. Let's see what the Discover store has for us. Do we have a Ramina desktop? Yeah, we do. Sweet. Let's see if we can install it through Discover. You know, I used to trash the Discover store from KDE. It would like never work. But you know what? I haven't really run into problems lately. Let me knock on wood real fast. Watch this one bomb out because I'm doing it live on stream. It'd be hilarious. Is Looking Glass compatible with Fedora? Luke, I don't know. I guess we're about to find out. All right, Ramina does look like it works. The one thing I do wonder, like if we go Ramina, we do have VNC and RDP. Okay, cool. I was just worried about it not grabbing that. Also, is there like a dark mode? Huh. Yeah. It might be GTK. I think Ramina is GTK based. So I might need to do some tweaks there to GTK to get all GTK apps displaying correctly as well. Yeah, I think Discover's used to set up, use Flatpak as well. Breeze Dark's broken. Okay, well, we'll get it. We'll get there eventually. Raz, thanks for the sub. So we have that. There was a preferred dark beat. Oh, there was. Look at me. I always miss stuff. Always miss stuff. I always wonder on these streams how many people are just sitting there screaming at me. Going, it's right there. You missed it. All right. Oh, prefer dark theme. There we go. You were right. Thank you. Yeah, almost everything coming from the Discover store in Bazzite should be a Flatpak. Why is GPU pass-through so complicated? Good question. I mean, I don't know. To discourage people from doing it? It's gotten a lot easier. I mean, I've done, there's the quick pass-through project that Hikari does if you're on like Arch or Debian. Highly recommend checking out that project. He's done a fantastic job with it. What happened to the Ultimate system? Big Shadow, you're looking at the new Ultimate system. It has evolved into the Bazzite main desktop Ultimate system. Although, you know, I think I'm going to have to get that 1660 and swap it out. I had to take my 2060 and put it in my stream machine, or my production machine that I used to record and stream on, because when I started multi-streaming, the 1660 it kind of started overloading on me. And then when I started doing some virtual production type things, it really kind of bombed out on me. And I was like, oh, okay, well, so be it. All right, let's get going with the build here. I am kind of digging getting back into KDE. Let me just hide some of this stuff. It's been a little bit since I really used it. I do miss some things. Let's just extract that. And we go into build, we now have Looking Glass. Perfect. All right, great. So if we do a listing, Looking Glass. Now, I'm going to just follow their guide, and let's see what happens. I think we're going to miss a lot of dependencies, and that's the thing that we might be a gotcha here. I don't know how well this will be. Yeah, and I could do a rebase using like the RPM OCI to grab DWM, because DWM I still miss. I mean, it's just one of those things. I do miss DWM and its simplicity. Let's go to documentation. And let's go to requirements. All right, we got the minimum requirements. All right, let's go to next. Installation, there's a shim and then the libvirt-QEMU configuration, which we've already done in the past stream. Now, determining memory, we're going to be doing 1080p. So most of this should be fine. I do want to switch out my monitor to HDR. That's one thing. I'm due for a monitor upgrade, so I will probably do that as well. Oh, Damien Killer, thank you. That's clutch. Do we have Chatterino here? Oh, I need to get Chatterino. Look at me using the GUI. Whoever thought it would happen? Who would have ever thunk it? Oh, right. HDR on regular Linux kind of sucks, Dex, but HDR on Bazzite has been fantastic from what I've seen so far. So that's pretty great. Let's just get this going 1 second. I'm going to change. Okay, we'll change this around. Log in. Oh, geez. All right. 2-factor. Everything's 2-factor. Kind of a pain in the butt, but you know what they say. Security and convenience. You can't have both. Okay, and then we got that. Copy that key. We're almost ready. We're almost ready to have it. All right. All righty. We are back, and now I can grab Dammy's Universal Blue compiling Looking Glass. Haha. Read first. Look at that. Dammy's saving the stream with that. Yeah, I think HDR is pretty cool, though. After seeing HDR work on, whoa, don't know what that was. After seeing HDR work on, the TV inside, because my wife was playing like Hi-Fi Rush using the little mini PC and Bazzite, I was like, wow, that looks really incredible. I didn't realize how much of a difference HDR makes. People need to stop obsessing about getting like a 4K monitor and start obsessing about having like a 1440p monitor with HDR. I think that's really where the future lies, because wow, it was just so vibrant. And I don't know what it was running at. I think it was still running at 720p. So 720p HDR looked pretty damn good. So I'm all for the HDR train. You can call me an HDR shill. because, you know, I've obviously never been much for the high-res stuff. A lot of the high-res stuff, I'm kind of like, 4K, 8K, I'm like, it's for them hipsters out there. You know, give me a 1080p, 1440p. Honestly, I really like 1440p. The 2K experience, I feel, is the best. It's not too crazy, and, you know, I'm a little bit old, so a little bit of scaling with 1440p is perfect. 1440p HDR is just beautiful. But yeah, again, I'm a little bit on the older side of things, and I like my text really big. So if I did 4K, my scaling would be like 300%. All right, what are we doing here? Looking Glass. We are doing the Looking Glass client. Compiling it. We're gonna do DistroBox create temp Looking Glass. All right. So he is using DistroBox. Okay, that's good to know. If you want to use a different home folder, go ahead and do that. We're not gonna. All right. So what we'll do here, we're not building it here. I think Hikari has different ideas. So we're going to create a whole new distro box. I imagine he's going to want me to enter that, right? Okay. Yeah, we're entering the client. Yeah, a lot of the reason why I use 1080p or 1080p 60 really is for streaming, recording, everything for YouTube, Twitch, all of it. It's just so much easier. Because I ran 1440p for a little bit, and then I kept getting artifacts on the screen and the scaling issues, and, you know, it was just not worth it for me. So I was like, all right, forget it. I'll just cave and just do 1080-60 and just call it a day. But I think I will do 1080-60 with HDR coming up. I want to give it a whirl on that. As far as that, what I really want to look forward to from a tech perspective is I'm really looking forward to DisplayPort directly in and capturing it. I hate HDMI captures, and I really am here for when DisplayPort does mirroring and also capturing. It'll be so great. 768 on my end. Ooh. Yeah, I feel for you. I feel for you. All right, so we've followed the upstream documentation. You can find the Fedora build dependencies here, and you also want to install dependencies mentioned for Pipewire users. Copy the Looking Glass client binary. So this is where we continue the installation. I imagine he links directly to it. He sure does. Look at Hikari. He's awesome. He's the man. He is your VFIO guru. And now we just bloop. Yeah, let's just sudo that. Yes. Yeah, I used to have, I think at one point in time I had 5 monitors in the studio. Now I have one 1440p monitor up top that displays OBS and everything. A teleprompter over here. That's how I look at you guys when I'm actually reading chat. And then that's like the Elgato teleprompter. That was a great buy. And then I have my crappy Amazon Fire Legend monitor. It has 120 megahertz refresh rate, $100, 1080p. It is such a piece of crap. I can't wait to throw this thing in the trash. I'm not giving this away just because I don't wish this on my worst enemy. It is such a bad monitor. That's what I get for being cheap. But, you know, live and learn, they say. There's something to be said for a name brand monitor, I think. My next monitor, I'm going to look for a really nice, I would like probably a 144 hertz 1080p HDR monitor. That's going to be probably my purchase for this that everybody's staring at right now. I'm pretty sure I can get that into a stream and have it look really like buttery smooth. Yeah, I think that'll be good. What brand of monitor? I don't know. I'm going to have to do my research on that one. AOC's definitely a good brand. I really liked AOC's. I'm trying to think of other ones that I've like really enjoyed where I'm like, oh, that's a nice picture. Asus can be very hit and miss. I've had a couple Asus monitors, and you know, the gaming monitors from Asus, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm kind of out on them. They're not bad monitors, but they're not great monitors either, I don't think. Apple's display. I mean, those are nice looking, but it's Apple. Samsung, yeah. Samsung and BenQ, you can't beat that, drummer. I think those are both solid. I think I have an HP Omen in the other room that's a 1440p, and it's a decent picture. I like it. LG OLED. Yeah. Yeah, I those are pretty solid. I think the big thing is don't go too much generic or people that rebrand monitors. And that's where you run into kind of the scummy stuff like I've got right now. That's where you really go awry. Any advice for getting better fonts? I would do a bulk font import to your .local share directory. And I think it's share fonts, and I have a whole bunch. So when you do like home titus.local, because the font support in Linux by default is kind of crap. But if you look at all my fonts, you'll notice my fonts are pretty extensive. And you'll notice on the right-hand side, there's a lot of like TTF and which is like true type fonts and regular font things. This is directly imported from Windows. I grabbed all my Windows fonts and tossed them on my Linux image. So I'd have every Windows font by stock defaults, and then I also add nerd fonts on top of it. So Windows users complaining about Linux fonts sucking, well, that's your own bad. A lot of that pain points from Windows users coming to Linux is just a lack of knowledge. And just grab all the fonts from Windows and toss them into this folder. Every single font. Like, look, you got Calibri, you got Times New Roman, you got Arial, you got a bunch of other crap that Windows has. Every single font. I just copied everything from my Windows instance over, and then I grabbed all my nerd fonts that I like. My favorite font of all time is going to be the Meslo LGS. So, oh, Page is having a problem. Refresh. Uh-oh. Maybe it'll come back. Hopefully it comes back. All right. If you get a monitor with DisplayPort via USB-C, please make a video about it. Okay, will do. All right, I like it. My chat died on me. Oh well. Let's. I'm gonna close it and reopen it. This is on the Windows side of things, so it's just how it goes sometimes. 1 second. Ah, there we go. All right, anyways, sorry, I digress. I just saw that and I was like, ooh, I probably should mention that. If you're having font problems in Linux, that's my go-to solution. Now, did we get all those installed? I think we did, yeah. So we have that. We're a Pipewire user, so let's grab that. We're going to grab our Pipewire dependencies. And basically what we're doing right now is just grabbing dependencies for everything. We're getting Pipewire dependencies. We're getting all the build dependencies for Looking Glass. Additional dependencies for kernel module build. We'll go ahead and grab these as well. I don't think we'll need these, as they're probably not needed, but we'll grab them anyways. Yeah, Bazzite is not a small distro by any means. If you're looking for speed or performance and like really wanting a minimal system, this is not it. That is true. This is more of a, hey, everything just kind of works type system. Yeah, and you can always create your own RPM or OS tree. Look up Fedora Universal Blue. That's what Bazzite used as their base. All right. We've got our dependencies installed. All right, all that's good to go. And we're going to just step through the instructions here. So for installation, I should have exported all this. My bad on that. I don't really know. What's Bazzite doing for SE Linux? I don't know if y'all are familiar with SE Linux. I'm kind of curious to see what the facto standard. Hopefully they're not doing enforcing of it, because that would be bad. Yeah, my beer water. Hey, anything that gets you to drink water, right? All right, let's see. First paragraph mentions something about SE Linux. Okay. Kind of curious. I mean, I've already had this thing loaded up. Dev shim looking glass. Let's just see. Is that even a thing? Let's go dev shim. Oh, I don't even see that. Let's go sudo touch. And then we're going to go dev shim. Oh, actually, let's just looking glass. So then we do an ls. You can see looking glass over here. Sudo ch mod. Actually, what's the default here? They're just doing 755. Let's do a sudo ch mod 755 and then looking glass. So now our ls should look like that, which is fine, but we also need to do a sudo ch own Titus and looking glass. Now, all right, cool. That emulates everything. I'm just creating that file, so when looking glass grabs that for the shim to drop temp files and stuff in, we'll have ownership to write to it, and we should be able to manipulate it as need be. Okay, we have that permissions and all that set up. We also need to do a modification of this to make sure we also have it. So let's go sudo vim. Oh, there's no vim here. Okay. We'll just do a vim here. All right, now we have that. We're just gonna, I think I'll just grab this whole file actually. Wish their copy pasta was a little bit better, but that's okay. Now, I think we just gotta go Titus. All right, and we look at groups, Titus and nobody. And I'm gonna just create another my computer over here. What's my groups over here? libvirt, not kvm. I wonder, should I change that to kvm or not? We could always come back to it. I think we'll be okay either way. Keyboard, mouse, display. We'll do Spice when we set it up. Install VIO to the guest. The guest is already set up because I was using it in Arch. Enable audio output to standard Intel HDA. Clipboard synchronization and Spice tools. Yeah, I think we'll be fine there. So let's get into, for Linux, we're going to do the binary and install it. Or the client. Just a simple make install should get us there. And then we just copy it over. So we have it right here. Just do make install. Make. No targets for make file. What am I missing? I skipped a step somewhere. I need to run cmake first? Really? C building. I feel like we skipped something. So we have it. Build the dependencies. We've got the dependencies already installed. Yep. Already done that. Building. This is what we're missing. All right. There we go. Now we're off to the races. Crap. Okay. What do we miss? Missing libpulse. Okay. Well, that's just a bunch of Rust libraries. I don't think that's what we need. I think we might have missed some dependency somewhere. Darn it. Let's go installation with other distros. This is what Hikari listed. I'm gonna just reinstall this just to see if there maybe I missed something. No, it's all already installed. And we got Pulse. There might be like a Pulse audio dependency we're missing. I don't know. Is it Pulse libs? I guess we could just install the Pulse ones too. All right, let's grab the Pulse libs. Thought you would just need pipe wire, but hey, that's fine. All right, so now what we're gonna do is, I think we were doing a CMake. Okay, and then we do a make. Yeah, that's what it was. It was just the pulse libs. I thought, hey, I got grab pipe wire. I don't need the pulse libraries. That assumption was wrong. So now we have the Looking Glass client. We should be able to sudo make install. All right. So now we have the Looking Glass client there. We should just be able to export this out now. So we'll go distro box, export, bin, and then we just take this entire thing and we've exported out the Looking Glass. So we've done our build on the temporary Looking Glass. Honestly, we could blow this whole container away. I'm going to leave it for now. And we have Looking Glass going. The big thing here now is just getting the VM going on the main box, which I think we're going to do it through Virtual Machine Manager. Wish I could. There's a better way to import my old config. Oh, Hikari's article recommended copy instead of export. Okay. Well then, let's take a look at how that was done. We never really dived into. So it looks like it drops everything here. And I think that export command really just copies it. This is an all listing. I think all it's doing is grabbing the binary and just dropping it into your bin folder, your local bin. That seems too basic, but there you go. It looks like that's kind of what the bin does, which is a little wild. I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, yeah, awesome. Does TLDR work? Required file. I was about to say, looking at these links, this one does work, but TLDR does not. Cannot execute. Required file not found. Sorry, I'm going off on a little tangent. I just saw this and I was like, is there anything there? No, TLDR is there. It's just not active. Interesting. Anywho, that's neither here or there. It does look like that will work. So we've got our build done. We're ready. Let's do it. Let's put this guy. Let's do our VM in Workspace 3. So we're going to go to Workspace 3 and create this whole thing. I wonder if we could just import the existing. No. Best way to do it. Maybe we can reboot into our Arch instance and do like a Virsh export. I think that would be probably the best way to do it, and then import it. But again, I don't know. There's a lot of ways to do this. I'm trying to think of what's going to be the least amount of work for me. All right, I'm just going to go normal on this. Oh, you know what? I forgot to grab all my images and everything. Huh. It's okay. Let's fix this up a little bit. As this is still getting converted from my ultimate system in Arch to Bazzite, there's going to be some bumps. And the bumps are going to be probably in my FS tab. Let's see how wild we want to get. Probably pretty wild here. I think what we'll do is grab this. That's going to be there. Do we have another internal drive? I think it'd be here. If I was an FS tab in Arch, I'd be right here. So what we're going to do is grab all of this. Although NFS is not going to be enabled by default. NFS utils isn't going to be in this system. And I don't think we can get away with using, well, let me look. Let's just check. NFS utils. What's the best way for this? Yeah, I don't know how to check what packages are installed by default in Bazzite. And this is something to where we'd have to, I think we could do like a layer on top of it using the OCI or the image, maybe. It'll add to our rebuild and install times anytime we touch it. So we don't really want to do it unless we have to. But NFS is something I absolutely have to have. If NFS isn't here, then I don't know. It wants to use DistroBox. All right. Why Bazzite in the main system? Because I wanted to see if it could be done. So you have the RPM OS tree. Yeah. RPM OS tree, add package. All right, so the next one's add package with RPM OS tree. Let's just do that. Adding a layered package. So RPM OS tree option package. Be sure to reboot. Okay, well, man, what is this? Windows? Let's look at RPM OS status first. I haven't really messed with OS tree, so I apologize for any experts in the crowd that are looking at it, screaming at the screen. I just want to see kind of what this is. This is my first run at it. So what OS tree has done so far is a layered package for QEMU and Virt-Manager. And anytime you do like an update, it'll update, but then it also grabs these extra packages and layers it on top. So the base never really changes, but everything you layer on top will be added in tandem. So you're going to add a lot of time to your update cycle anytime you layer a package in like this. Again, you get the beauty of immutable in this regard, but also you do add some slowness to your update cycle because of it. It's usually a last resort, but again, I think we have to do it. How to check if NFS utils is installed on an RPM OS tree. Since I don't, So NFS, Fedora, and this is going to be a DNF search command, I'm sure. Let's look for NFS maybe. NFS stat maybe. Let's see. Oh, wait. I think NFS is here. Never mind. I should have just grabbed it. Never mind. We don't really need it. Yeah. Bazzite's... So I at the start of the stream, I kind of alluded to this. So the Steam Deck is immutable, right? Anything outside the home directory pretty much just gets wiped out. Bazzite is actually atomic. Considered an atomic desktop because it uses RPM OS tree and universal blue images. And basically what that means is USR is protected, much like the Steam Deck, right? However, where it differs is like the etc folder where system configurations happen isn't. So we can change etc system configurations all day long. And yeah, you could break your system doing that, but it gives you a lot more flexibility. So we can do a lot more things with it where a Steam Deck, you can't. You're just like hamstrung because all you can change is the home folder. Very, very cool. So that's where like Bazzite is harder to break than like an Arch instance or a Debian instance because USR is not writable. But also, you do have some flexibility because of etc. But if you also change like etc fs tab and make your system not bootable, you can break it. I mean, obviously, I've changed this and broke my system a million times. But yeah, awesome. Say all that just so I can be like, hey, a lot of the default options is nice. So here's our default one. And we installed this on a SSD drive because I figured, oh, I'll just wipe it out afterwards. But now I want to make it my main system. So we're going to have to change all of this. Every bit of it. We're going to have to move it all to the main drive. Why did I do that to myself? I just like difficulty and pain. and we'll wipe out everything on this NVMe drive when we're ready. So what it'll look like is we're going to take all these partitions that Bazzite's done, do like a GP parted or G parted, and grab all these, put them over onto the NVMe drive over here, and then change all the UUIDs around, and then we'll have successfully migrated all of Bazzite over onto an NVMe instead of solid state. Because right now it's actually moving slower than it would if it was on my built-in NVMe that's like sweet, like super fast. And that's because I didn't think I would stay on it. I was like, oh, I'll just install it, mess around on stream, and then I'll wipe it out later. And then I was like, I really like it. I kind of want to roll this as my main system now. Anywho, that's kind of fun. We'll need to change bootloader for UUID too. Yeah, so that's the tricky thing here. If you look at the bootloader, like, I want to just show this actually. Here, we'll close that out. Can we just drag that over? Oh, we can. Nice. Man, I like this terminal. All right. Actually, let's swap it. Let's put it over here. And then, can we take this one? All right, we're gonna take this guy over here. All right, so we're gonna go sudo blkid. I have a few hard drives on my system. Crap. Anyways, the UUID for the other one, which is the NVMe, would be, okay, NVMe E0 is going to be Windows. Let's look for another NVMe. NVMe 1 is going to be our main system. Now, P1 is going to be the, I believe that's where our EFI mount is right now for Arch. Is that even used over here? A669. And if we look, A669 is not there. That's okay. Okay. A669 is all the way up here at SDF. I give myself about a 35% chance of doing this correctly. And then the boot, let's see, the boot's going to be UUID ending in C1F5. And this is also on SDF. Okay, so it's actually going to be a little bit easier than I thought. I say all that because, yeah, everything looks to be isolated to the singular drive. It just so happened to see these other drives down here. So what I can do is wipe out all of this, and then take all of these, transplant them over to here, and then just update my UUIDs over here, and we're good. Simple. Super simple. Nice. All right, cool. So to sudo mount A. All right, we don't have the media mount points, which is fine. Because it's atomic, we can actually get outside of our home directory and make these. So we're going to go sudo make directory a media. Oh, okay, that does exist. CD media. Zoxide, not a directory, media. Okay. So we go sudo make directory, and we need the mount point images, main pool, drive, and FCP. And if we look, this is what we have right now. I'm just going to do a chown, Titus, and all. Sudo that. Now I have ownership of all these. So now if we go sudo mount A, we should have all of my NFS drives mounted, which system, CTL, daemon, reload. Let's do another mount. Perfect. And now we have all these. Now you'll notice they do say root on them. And it's got the incorrect UUIDs and everything's screwed up. Great. Poop. All right. I guess the easy way to do this is like a recursive ownership. So sudo chown Titus : recursive drive. So we're just gonna change that ownership, but when we do that, says operation not permitted. Why is that? I screwed up when I mounted this thing, didn't I? I did. I'm doing it incorrectly. Don't do anything I do. All right. In here, what am I doing wrong? Am I specifying a UID anywhere in here for the ownership? It does not look like I am. Yeah. You can actually specify like a UID and mount these to a user, but that's more of a like SMB type deal. I hate SMB. It's slower as balls where compared to NFS. NFS is just so much faster. I don't know. What's it look like when I pull it up in Dolphin? Huh. What happens if I try and... Okay. I'm overthinking this, guys. We got it mounted. It's NFS. We have the right privileges. Let's just move on with our lives. We didn't air it out. It's fine. So let's create our virtual machine with this. We're going to go forward. We're going to go browse. Let's create a new pool. We're going to just call this pool images. And we're going to actually refer to the images NFS share. I know it's not local, but it's just nice having, 33 terabytes at your disposal that we could easily use. So that's the whole point. Yes?
We have to leave for our daughter's science fair in 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay. Thanks for telling me. We're going to have to postpone this because my daughter has a science fair in 5 minutes. Not dinner, science fair. All right. Well, I'm going to just leave it up and we'll just be back later and call it good. It's kind of a fun exploration into here. There's a lot to go over still. But yeah, the science fair takes priority, guys. Sorry. But I'll live stream this again, and if you missed the follow-up to this, just check Titus Tech Talk over on YouTube. I'll chop it up where it removes all the silence and add a little backing track. So you guys should be able to rewatch any of this if you want to get good at it. And I do timestamp it too, so it should make it a little easier. So we're pretty much ready we're to the point where we have all the images in. We're ready to make the VM machine, and I don't know the best way to import the virtual machine. That's kind of what we're doing. So we're right at the creation of the machine, or maybe even transplanting the existing machine from Arch to Bazzite, and then making the whole pass-through work. We've already stubbed the graphics card. All the legwork has pretty much been done for this, so it should pretty much just work with some tweaking. So, all right, guys, have a great one. Thanks for the short stream here. It was supposed to go a little longer than I thought, but time got away from me, and I didn't realize my daughter had a science fair in 5 minutes. So, sorry about that. All right, y'all. See you later. I will live stream later tonight whenever we get back, and I eat dinner and stuff. So, probably a stream, probably like 3 hours from now or so. And then if you miss that, just check the old YouTubes. All right, y'all. Peace. Alrighty, starting to back up again. We're going to be doing a little bit of the PCI pass-through. So we're going to build our image. Well, the image is already kind of built on the drive. I'm going to see about passing it through. I don't think it really matters as far as like image here goes, but I'm going to just double check things on the YouTube side of things. I hate live streaming on YouTube. The more I do it, the more I don't like it. I'm like, is it even worth it? Anyways, all right, let me just move this over. Alrighty, and there we go. Oh, I don't even know if that worked. Oh, alrighty, I think we're good. We'll get started here in a second. I'm just double checking a few things, and we'll go. Yeah, I don't know what to say on that. That's just weird. All right. As far as Twitch goes, that looks fine. So we're good. All right, let's go. Let's get it done. All righty. All right, so from the images, we're going to grab Windows and move into just a basic install. Oh, geez, probably 23H2. I'd probably need to switch this around, but I don't think it's going to matter really too much. Let's just go forward. CPUs, I'm going to assign 8 CPUs. That's going to be 8 threads of 32 available. Memory-wise, I think at least 16. 192, I think, is what we'll go with. We'll do custom storage on this one. Probably, I don't think we're going to do it from scratch, Dammy. I think we can pull this in directly from the device itself. Now, we're not going to be able to pull it here, I don't think. Well, maybe. There's ways to pull it in. You could do it directly from like a dev and disk probably. Is there a disk? Yeah, disk. And then I like to pull it from UUID. There's a lot of different ways to do it. So that's one way, but I want to get the exact UUID to pull. That's the tricky part. And it's going to be the dev NVMe E0 N1 and probably pull in this UUID, but maybe we don't pull by UUID. Maybe we'll pull it by ID. Yeah. I'm just thinking out loud here on this because I'd prefer not to redo it, but you know. If we go by ID, I think by ID would probably be the best way to do it because we want to point directly to the hard drive itself and not any particular partition. So we'll try to do dev disk by ID, and then we're going to grab the correct one, which will be, I think it's the WD Black SN850X. And you're probably like, how do you know that? And it's just a hunch. So that's what we're going on. So that's the best I got for you by ID. Remember to look at your serial numbers when you put your stuff in here if you have a whole bunch of drives. Let's see if it allows it. It does look like it allowed it. Let's customize this before it goes live. Let's go finish. And then we have Windows 11. We look at the CPUs. The topology is always jacked in QEMU. I wish they would fix this. But we're going to go 4 cores and 2 threads on each core, which gives us 8 virtual CPUs. Yes. So that's saved. Memory, 16 gigs is fine. CPU topology, one thing we need to look. Yeah, Q35 UEF, that's good. Another thing, if you're using Windows 11 and you're virtualizing, you will need TPM actually. So I like to just pass through directly if we can, or you can go emulated TPM as well. And that did not pull anything in. So let's go TPM. I think we can just pull it directly like that. Let's just remove this. So if we pass through that, we need to next pass through the graphics card. So I'm going to just grab the PCIe slots. I've already stubbed this out. So we're just going to go down to, oh man, this is hilarious. Okay, well, I got so many cards. I think we ran out. There we go. So we're actually stubbing out 4 PCIe things, because each graphics card has, you need to pass through everything in that IOMMU group, which we've already done. Or at least made it so Linux isn't using it, so then we can just grab it and use it for our Windows instance. And then we get the best of both worlds. So we'll move this and finish. All right. So we'll be hopefully just pulling this VM in, and if I do it right, everything should be great. If I do it wrong, nothing will work. I think that should be good enough. I almost feel like pulling in a QXL on the driver just so we could see it boot once. Yeah, screw it. Let's do it. Let's just do a QXL once. And then for keyboard and mouse, that's another thing we need to pass through as input. I like to do a VFI Virt-IO keyboard and mouse. If you don't do this, you'll have latency. Like you'll click something and there'll be, 200, 300 milliseconds of latency, which I've heard people complain about. So don't skip this step. You skip this and you start gaming, you're going to have a bad time. So we get the Virt-IO keyboard. Huh. Thought we had a mouse in here. Let's just pull in the mouse, I suppose. Felt like we had something else there, but that's okay. All right. What will be next after NTFS file system? Will be anything something better in a way. Tomas, when it comes to that, I would say you can. I don't know. Microsoft seems stuck in its ways, and I don't know how many talented engineers are left working there. Feels like a bunch of marketing people, and they've run away a lot of their talent. So I don't know if they have the capabilities to move from NTFS. I know some people on the binary team, the compile team for Microsoft, and Microsoft used to invest heavily in their engineers, and they used to have, I think, about 150, 160 people just to, run that team in that team. And now I think it's down to like 80, 70 or 80, something like that for all the Microsoft stuff. So, take that with a grain of salt. I'm obviously hearing it secondhand because I don't work for Microsoft, but they do. And I'm like, eesh, that's rough, man. But there are some projects like BetterFS for Windows that kind of nest an NTFS share inside of it. So you get all the benefits of BetterFS in a Windows environment. So it's, the future, I think it'll be an open source solution really that fixes it for us. I'm going to remove this device actually. Let's just delete that. And then for boot options, we have that. And heck, let's just roll. Let's roll with it. Well, do I think it's going to work? No, I don't think it's going to work. But here we go. Let's create it, launch it, see what happens. It usually doesn't take this long. Oh, there we go. Starting to go. All right, booting from disk. I don't know. Looks pretty promising. Nice. Now, we're not seeing anything on the screen, probably from the Looking Glass implementation. I'm not sure if that's going to work or not. Now, technically, I didn't think it would boot with the QXL going. Let's just see. Let's try and do Looking Glass client. Okay. Failed to map memory shared device. All right. Let's see what this looks like. So that tells me it's probably going to be like a permissions issue. Maybe we need to modify like etc modules or something like that to look better. Let's do like a pseudo Looking Glass and see from an elevated prompt. It's not going to launch that way. Yeah. I think the big thing here is we're running into a permissions error with the Looking Glass shim. Also, UJust has some stuff in here specifically for virtualization. So when we go sudo UJust setup virtualization. Oh, I said set. Oops. Set up. Let's try to auto create that shim. All right. Bazzite currently uses a deprecated implementation of Looking Glass shim. It will not be supported in the future. Blah, blah, blah. We're moving over to a kernel module. That makes sense. Tell this is desk. All right, let's do it. Says it's already there for an SE Linux. I think we're missing something. So we've already compiled Looking Glass. We got it all going. Ooh, wait. What did I just close? All right. We've got that. We did the upstream, did that, copied it to there. Test to see if Looking Glass binary works for you on your host VM. Yeah, okay. So we're close. We're going to go to installation. I feel like there's one step I've missed, and it's honestly the first one right here. All right. Yeah, that's my bad. I'll tell you what we did wrong. This guy can just go over to there. All right, let's Control Alt. Let's just shut this guy down. All right. So we're going to change a few things with our image. The first thing, this QXL driver not doing anything for us because we have Looking Glass already. Let's just take care of business. The next thing, can we even edit our XML file directly in here? I believe there's a preference setting here. Enable XML editing. And honestly, I like the system tray icon as well. Pull disk IO and network IO. Sure, let's pull all those. I kind of like seeing the feedback. All right, cool. So now we have that. We should be able to hit this up. And what I want to do is modify that to use the shim. And what we're doing is for the configuration here, you add the following in the devices section. You can do a Virt edit, or frankly, just edit it directly in Virt-Manager like I'm doing now. Here's the devices section. You have the mem balloon down here. We should be able to just type this. Let's fix that. And spacing wise. It's not exactly, all right. I guess I'm gonna just manually space this out. It's kind of weird, but okay. All right, that's good enough. Apply. So we've added the shim in Looking Glass. We've went ahead and disabled the built-in video because it's not going to display anyways. Let's hit play. Permission denied. All right. So it doesn't have access. Probably the easiest way to fix that. Let's look at the permissions of it again. Dev, shim, and we're going to just do an all listing. What if we change that group? Let's go ch sudo ch own. We're going to change this ownership to Titus, lib, virt, and then Looking Glass, dev, shim, Looking Glass. So then when we do a listing again, maybe the libvirt group might be a little bit better coming from here. Let's see. Cannot open backing store from guest RAM, permission denied. Could be an SE Linux thing too. Well, let's try. What's SE status show? So SE status, SE Linux is enabled. It's an enforcing mode. And yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to cause some issues. I feel like the script from the Bazzite team, specifically SE Linux, is not working. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully Hikari pops up in chat. Otherwise, we're just going to have to pound away at this. I mean, we could just destroy SE Linux too. Just not tell anybody. Just be like, and you're now in permissive mode instead of enforcing. I know. Let's see what else we have. Let's look at the official documentation and SE Linux. Yeah. I don't see it right here for the compiling of it. All this looks fine, and we have everything. It's just we need that shim to work properly. And it's not. Maybe let's relaunch. Let's just relaunch just to make sure. I'm going to rule that out. We're just going to go File, Quit. Let that close. We're going to relaunch. And then let's play. All right. Still have the same thing. Can't open backing store for dev shim looking glass. Okay. We have to fix that. Yeah. And yeah, it's a permissions error for sure. Yeah, you have a permissions issue. Find out if QEMU is running under and make sure that dev kvm fr0 device has read-write permissions to either. This is for AppArmor. We're using SE Linux. Yeah, let's look at... I mean, we could probably open up that shim to read-write, but we already did something like that during the install. If we look here, so we have the installation. Here's the configuration. We add that. Step through, it tells you the bit and stuff to do. Now you have the permissions. This is what we need. And if we look at etc temp files config D, you'll notice, and I think I'm going to change kvm to libvirt for the group, because if you look at groups, we have libvirt as a group. So sudo vim looking glass. Here's what we have right now, which is using UID. Why does this look so wrong? Okay, let's just destroy that. That actually looked wrong. Okay. Never mind. I think we figured that out. This actually should say Titus. And to take it one step further, I'm going to go libvirt for that instead of kvm. We can look to see if there's a kvm group. Let's just do cat password wd. I don't have bat installed. All right, let's go distro box, enter arch. We're gonna go paru s batcat. Oh, maybe it's just bat. Yeah, I can use bat. Bat is the new cat. What do you think about that? All right, sorry. Distro box export bin, and we're gonna just go user bin bat. Export that out. Now let's just cat that. I just want to see what we have on this system. Not much. There's just Titus. That is a pretty bare bones file, which is fine. Huh. All right. Anywho, I think it's fine. I was just trying to check out my groups. Now we've added this directly into the etc there. We probably will need to reboot. It's kind of odd that changed. Yeah, that looks good now. Let's close this. We're gonna exit once more. Oh, okay. User dbctl. Okay. I'll have to check that out, Faye. User, what do you got? I'll just randomly write stuff from chat. Oh, I like it. That is a lot fancier. So we got our name. We got 54 users. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll have to remember that. User DB CTL. I was just looking for groups. You got the QEMU right here. I feel like going back into that file. Was QEMU what the file had originally? No, it said KVM. I still don't see KVM in here. Might be a Debian thing. All right. Let's relaunch. I don't feel like it would grab the settings from that. Yeah. What if we go sudo remove dev shim looking glass? Let's have this going. Now let's relaunch. Let's see if we can't get Virt-Manager to create it. All right. Well, that's better than what we had. What did Virt-Manager create? Okay. So we have all of that. This does look like it's running once this flatlines a little bit. Here, I'm gonna come on over here. Once this flatlines a little bit, we can try looking glass again. Oh, okay. User dbctl group for groups. Okay. I think we got it though. All right. Let's see what we have. Failed to map memory. All right. Look, what if we take ownership from QEMU? I don't feel like that's a good idea, but Let's just try it. Let's go z dev shim. Let's go sudo ch own titus qmu looking glass, and then so it goes user group. I know this is gonna trigger some people, but let's go with ch mod. We're gonna go 775 looking glass, and what this is gonna do is give, I want to make sure QEMU still has write access to it. And then if we go looking glass client, all right, that does look good. Perfect. So we have that. Now if we go looking glass client full screen, now nobody is the wiser, except when I do that. Because I'm used to using DWM that doesn't trigger off the sudo mod. All right, let's take a look at our task manager. All right, what are we looking at for performance wise? We got our 8 virtual cores, 16 gigs of memory. As far as process accounts, we're still under 100, so we're fine there. Let's pull in Steam, I suppose. Go library. Also, the next thing we need to check too, device manager. See if there's anything missing. Definitely feels responsive. So we got our pass-through device, the 1660, which I do need to replace. As I don't think, can we do a Cyberpunk on this? Yeah, I don't know. Do we have any? Okay, we do. So looking glass looks like it's working. The permissions issue probably is going to come back to haunt me, just because I don't think that's how I should do it. I think that's probably like a, I can't remember the file I edited in there. SE Linux is probably, I think SE Linux might be okay now. I left it in enforcing mode because, yeah, you know, because I guess I feel like it, but let's see what we get. 2042. Yeah, I mean, the idea behind doing like a looking glass Windows setup like this is to essentially always have a gaming PC ready to go. So even if you're in Linux, you're like, oh, no worries, you can just pull it up with a press of a button. Or at least that's my thought process behind it. There's been plenty of times like I'm testing like the toolbox and other things, and that's why I have looking glass and all the PCI pass-through. It's a little ridiculous, but it's my perfect system. It's my no sacrifice system. Ooh. It's a little rough. Oh yeah, Cyberpunk runs way better in Linux than Windows, even with my janky drivers that I have going on with my 7800 XT. Well, I mean, I'm putting it up against a 1660, so it's not very honest of me. But we'll just so. Oh geez, what do we have? Oh, all right, there we go. About to say. Windowed mode, window borderless. I think I might. I kind of want to lock this, but if I lock it, I don't think I can use DLSS, which I can't anyways. Oh, well hell, let's just lock it to full screen then. Let's come down into a medium. Yeah, we don't have anything there. We're just gonna go with the medium setting. It's a 1660, guys, so that's why. I think we just turn this off, right? Yeah. So it's not an AMD card. Ray tracing, crowd density low, blah, blah, blah. All right. Let's see what that gets. I don't know. What's a 1660 supposed to get for FPS? Any takers on that? 30 frames probably. All right, let's try it. All right, here we go. FPS, maybe. That's true. 1660. It is a powered card, though. Hey, okay. 40s. I mean, I can play at 40s. I know I hear the people rolling their eyes now. I see you rolling your eyes at me. But 40's okay. You can play out 40. Yeah, I mean, the fact this is a 1660, it's what, maybe $100 card these days? I don't even think you can buy them, really. The only reason I got the 1660 is because it was the cheapest card you could get with NVMe 2 in it. It came around the time the 2000 series dropped for NVIDIA. So this card's very long in the tooth. I need to replace it soon. But I need to replace it with a card with a singular 8-pin GPU. So I don't even know what that is. What's a modern card with 8 pins power? What's the best card you can get that just does 8 pins? All right. Well, it being a 1660, 52 frames per second Cyberpunk in a Windows VM, that's a win. That is a win. So we have Looking Glass on 1 and 2. What's this look like on our inputs? Memory usage. See our disk IO. All this looks pretty good. One thing I just noticed, I kind of killed the Looking Glass, didn't I? Let's make a global hotkey. Let's add a command. Looking Glass. Actually, we might need to make a script for this, but I'm going to try and get away with not doing a script. Local bin. Let's try that. It's only going to want to do script. Fine. We'll make a little quick bash script. Bin. All right. We got Looking Glass in here. Let's go vim lglass.sh. All right. Quick and dirty script. We'll just write it in bash. And it's just going to be Looking Glass client full screen. We could do absolute name. Probably should. Titus dot local bin Looking Glass. So we have that. Chmod lglass. All right. So now we have our Looking Glass kind of set up. What I'm doing right now is just binding a key to lglass. Okay. Add. We have our commands. And we're just going to go... Oh, oops. Nope. Windows W. Yeah, sure. We're just going to overwrite it. So now we have the lglass script set to a hotkey. And if we hit... Nice. Now, a little bit of craziness there at the end, but that's okay. Now, as far as launching this, I wonder, what can we do? I guess I can just not press the Windows button. But, I mean, that's pretty good. I might look at just capturing the whole keyboard and mouse and then just having like a left Control-Alt to unhook the mouse and hook it directly into the Looking Glass instance. It's a personal preference on that. Like, there's pros and cons to it. It does make it a little more seamless and you can use all your hotkeys. But if I'm over here and then I'm like, hey, I need to look at this and then come back, it can get a little weird. It's not like the end of the world, but yeah, it works pretty good though. So, all right, cool. Well, that came in pretty nice. Yeah, that overlap came right in. I mean, Bazzite so far, we're able to tackle almost every single problem we've had using it as a main system. I think the last thing we need to do here to fully switch to Bazzite is it is time to, I think it's time to wipe out Arch. I hate to do it, but I really kind of want all this on my NVMe. I mean, when it comes to Bazzite, I really have been enjoying myself. For how long? I don't know. You know, like, let's see. This is what we're working with right now. We've got the Xeon processor. We got our two GPUs. Everything's pretty much set up in Bazzite. It's an atomic desktop, which means it's like part immutable and part mutable. So you can set up system configurations that won't get overwritten by updates, but you can't really mess with the USR folder. So it's really kind of a good balance, I feel like. When you start packing in a lot of the newer options, which I talked a little bit about earlier, which was DistroBox, we can use any binary from Arch directly in our Bazzite instance or in install. We have flat packs, we have app images that we can use. But honestly, a lot of them are pulled directly from my Arch container in DistroBox. So when I'm running these things, they just run. When I need Zoxide, when I'm using Starship to pimp out my prompt, all these things just work once you export them. I think it's another episode. I think we're going to have to wipe it out. I feel like I want to main daily drive this. Like I have just had such a good experience with it. Yeah, OS tree is super cool. So let's look at our current structure. Or let's just do LSBLK. This is our current structure. We have the SDF right here. The main thing we're going to have issues with is mounting FS tab and then changing that on the fly. So once we switch over and wipe out all of NVMe E0, E1 actually. E0 is our pass-through NVMe drive for our Windows instance that we're using Looking Glass and PCI pass-through on. So this, I kind of want to wipe out and just take over the 2 terabytes. This is a little bit more challenging than you think of just copying the partitions because everything's a better FS, so you have to deal with the sub volumes. That's a consideration. The next consideration too that you have to kind of worry about is one, expanding all those little sub containers inside of Better FS and then remapping them all using FS tab all seamlessly. And does any of this really screw up with Bazzite's, you know, OS tree type format? I don't know. I've never done it in OS tree. I don't think it does. So I think this would work. Or we might just not have a bootable system at all after I'm done. I'm almost tempted not to do it, but I'm kind of like sitting here going, well, this would be fun. It would make for an entertaining time. Let's cat etc fs tab real fast. So, wait, why is that way? We're on our main sudo vim etc. Okay, yeah, I was like, what the hell? All right, here's what our FS tab looks like right now. So you have subvol. They're mounting subvol by that, our boot subvol and our EFI subvol. We'll have to change. And to change that, we have to mount the subvol root and then change the, so all these UUIDs you see here at the top will have to change once we copy them. Easy. The big thing here that I'm kind of wondering, what does this look like on a Gparted? Yeah. get G-parted for me real fast. Yeah, CloneZilla is really good, but BetterFS can be a little tricky. If you're familiar with LVM, it makes a lot of sense. Is G-parted in? I don't think G-part is probably in here because it should exclude all flat packs, and G-parted's not a flat pack. I was just wondering. I just kind of want to see a graphical representation. Actually, KDE has something. Their utilities is actually kind of cool. Well, some of them are cool. You got FileLight for disk usage. That's really cool. If you've never used FileLight, here, I'll open it up real fast so you guys can see. I think this is neat. So you can just be like, hey, tell me everything going on with my home folder. How big is this? And then it sits there and kind of scans it. Ah, okay, Partition Manager. Okay. I knew they had something. KDE Partition Manager. Ooh, that might not be installed. Let's see. Oh, no, it's there. Thank you. So anyways, FileLight's neat because you can drill down in and it kind of breaks it up in this little pie format. So you're like, okay, so .local, man, look at that. It's 168. Where's all that going? Oh, Steam apps, common. Okay, Helldivers and Cyberpunk. So you can easily like drill down and get exactly what's going on with your system. All right, so now that we've got that kind of all planned out, what does, let's see, if we look at, this is what we're currently rocking with our Windows share. That's the WD Black. This is the Arch run. We only have 3 partitions, pretty basic. You have an ext4 for root and an ext4 for home. I did it that way so I could easily move the home folder. So that was the idea behind it. We're going to wipe it out though, because I'm a masochist. And our current drive, this is what it looks like. You got a BetterFS. You got this. The one thing I hate about how Fedora does its boot, like all Fedora-based stuff, all Red Hat honestly does this. It makes 2 partitions in the boot, which I don't like. It has an EFI FAT32 partition, and then it has an ext4/boot partition. And I was like, just make one big partition. I like to throw that. Probably there's maybe a security reason for them doing that, but I don't know. It's just complicated. All right. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take all these partitions, clone them to this guy, the spec M.2. We're going to wipe out all of Arch and then toss everything here, mount it, and then modify the FS tab all within the CLI. It's a bit of a tall order, but we can do it. I don't want to, but I also will get so much more performance it being an NVMe drive. And I don't want people going, oh, your Bazzite's slow because I'm using like a 10-year-old SSD that's been sitting on my shelf forever. All right. Hold on your butts. Let's do this thing. This sounds like a terrible idea. It's definitely not a good idea. But for science, I think it has to be done. Would I do this in a business? Absolutely not. If there was critical systems on this thing, I would not do this one bit. But there aren't. And it'd be a fun experiment. Any good advice on getting a macOS VM on Proxmox with GPU pass-through? Check the graphics card's compatibility, because when it comes to macOS PCI pass-through, there's like 3 cards that you can use, and it depends on the manufacturer and the model number. Man, Macs are super picky on their cards, so big warning. Yeah, but it is Fedora. Warning. Yeah, this should be fun. We'll see. We'll see how much fun it is. Might turn into a 6-hour stream just because of this one idea. We'll see. What's the longest you've ever stayed on one OS? Probably 20 years. Windows. Yeah, I stayed on Windows for a long time. That was my bread and butter, man. It's how I made my living. I could go G Parted Live. I'm going to go Parted Magic. Give me some Parted Magic. I think that'd be fun. All right, we'll just go with number 1. But yeah, I guess you switch between versions of Windows, so that doesn't count. You can't just say 20 years. But I was Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows 98 SE. Yeah, they were 2 different OSs, and there's a big difference between regular Windows 98 and Windows 98 SE. Terrible time. But not worse than Windows ME, which was the next one, which was awful. And I was on that for 2 or 3 months probably. But it blue screened so much that I was like, screw this, I'm pirating Windows 2000 Pro. And Windows 2000 Pro Workstation was amazing. That was probably the best version of Windows in existence. I was able to get that all going, and it was solid as a rock. Loved Windows 2000. And not ME, that's a whole different thing. So if you're thinking ME and 2000 were the same thing, the NT kernel was Windows 2000. It was amazing. Windows ME was just garbage. It got worse as you patched it. They finally just gave up on it and released Windows XP. And then XP came along probably around 2003, even actually before that. I want to say 2002 actually. And I was on XP for quite some time, and even XP Pro, I hung out with that for a little bit because when Vista came out, it was okay, but I was always obsessed with performance even back then. And I took Windows XP Professional when they released a 64-bit, which was very, very seldomly used in the IT population or the technical. Most people just didn't use it. But man, Windows XP Pro flew. Man, you got so much performance from it, especially the 64-bit version. And I was able to go wild with it. It was amazing. So yeah, that was my thing on that. So that was good. And then Vista, had some bumps in the road, but I didn't mind Vista. A lot of people have horror stories, but nothing compares to how crappy Windows ME was. And Vista was, once you understood, hey, some applications are 32-bit, some are 64-bit, and you understood the differences, and there's a huge uptick in hardware requirements. If you understood all these things, Vista really wasn't that bad, especially with the advent of like Service Pack 2, which they patched that pretty good. And came Service Pack 2, Windows Vista was essentially Windows 7, very close to it, except you'd always disable widgets and some other things. So Vista to me, I was actually okay with. And then 7 came along, which was great for a little bit, and 7 slowly got ruined. I would say 7 all the way up to about 2015 era or so, it just started kind of slowing down a little bit. And then when 2017 happened and the NSA tool leak happened, that was just disastrous for any Windows 7 user. Anybody in business running Windows 7 after 2017 just had an incompetent IT department, or they were just stuck on it for whatever reason, whether it was like a line of business app or whatever happened. But Windows 7 just turned into just complete garbage after that leak because you had ransomware attacks, you had so many vulnerabilities, and then a fully patched Windows 7 in 2017, 2018 was 30, 40 gigs. I mean, it got kind of wild. So whenever I get, I still get emails every once in a while from people like, hey, I'm trying this on Windows 7. And I was like, oh God, I cannot deal with this person. I am just going to pretend like I never saw this, because there are still people out there using Windows 7, and that is just bonkers. All right, this didn't work. I got an email the other day from someone on 7. They got my utility, and they're like, hey, how do I run your Windows utility on Windows 7? And I was like, you don't. And stop using Windows 7. But there are. I think 8.1 is still floating around a little bit. But the problem with 8.1 is there's no driver support anywhere. AMD stopped their driver support for 8 and 8.1 in, I want to say 2018. So any AMD GPU or even CPUs don't have drivers in Windows 8. you know, in the past 6 years. So you really don't see too many of those. Windows 8 wasn't around for very long, probably about 5 years or so. I mean, it never really hit market dominance. Windows 7, it never eclipsed Windows 7. Windows 7 still, I think even to this day, Windows 7 has a bigger market share than Windows 8. I know that sounds wild, but a lot of it just deals with Windows 7 having just like hospitals and other stuff where they just never updated. And then when you hear them getting hacked, you're like, well, probably should have updated. Oh, probably should have moved on from that. But, you know, it's how it goes sometimes. Do you all think Windows 11 will get better or worse? I would say worse. I think we're going to try no official NVIDIA driver. Use Novo. Okay. Let's try that. I'm thinking it's messing up because of my 1660 in here with the dual GPUs. It's not fun booting into a recovery environment with 2 GPUs. So I think that's what's happening. It might just bomb out on me though. That's okay. We can go a different direction if that's the case. Yeah, I mean, you're always going to run into some stuff with Linux. I think one of the big sticking points, you know, for Linux in me is DaVinci Resolve. A lot of Linux users love to tout Linux Resolve or DaVinci Resolve, and they fail to mention that there's no AAC support, and that's a pretty damn big codec that needs to be used in a lot of video. So Linux DaVinci Resolve users can't decode it and can't ingest that video. Another thing is you have to have the paid $300 version of Resolve to even decode and have the ability to have process like, you know, 264 video, you know, or MP4 format. There's so many like weird little gotchas. Like there's no feature parity with Resolve and difference between Linux and Windows. So for me, really, it's not the gaming. It's strictly Resolve. Once Resolve catches up or is even close to Windows, sure, I would switch to editing my videos in Linux. But I don't. I still edit using DaVinci Resolve in Windows because it just doesn't work for crap in Linux. I know Linux users don't like to hear that, but it's true. It just doesn't have the stuff. It is all proprietary, and I know that it's not open source, but hey, I use whatever's best. I don't have any qualms when it comes to FOSS and stuff. Hey, I prefer it. I prefer to do something open source. I prefer these things. But if there's a paid counterpart that's faster and better, I'm just going to use that. And if it's on a different operating system and it's only on that operating system, I'm just going to use that. Because at the end of the day, I just want to get stuff done as quickly as efficiently as possible, no matter where I'm at. This thing's just not working. Oh, you missed it, AH. Yeah, we got Passthrough working, AH. Worked flawlessly. I mean, it's surprisingly easy. I think we were only streaming for about 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes before we got all the way through. It's kind of funny though. There was a bit there on my YouTube channel when I first found like Linux desktop. I was obsessed. I drank the Kool-Aid big time. I wanted to do everything from recording down to playing games, everything in Linux. Never did I want to boot back into Windows ever again. So what I did for the first 500 videos I made on YouTube, I think like the first 50 or so, I kind of bounced back and forth, and it really was a YouTube dare that is the reason why I ended up switching to Linux desktop. But after I switched to Linux desktop, and about that 50th video, I'd say, I switched completely to Linux and swore I wouldn't use anything else. And for the next 450 videos or so, I only used Kdenlive. 450 videos in Kdenlive. If I tried to do anything in Kdenlive now, I would shoot myself. In comparison, after switching from Kdenlive, I moved to, which is hilarious, because I trash Mac all the time. But I moved to Final Cut Pro in Mac OS because the M1 chip came out with the Mac Mini, and I just set up an NFS share so I could just toss raw footage on there. And Final Cut was so much better than Kdenlive because, well, it's like a $500 piece of software, or $300, whatever it is. I think I got like all the stuff with it, and I ended up dropping a good chunk of money. But man, I was editing videos. The videos were going out faster and they looked a lot better. And I was like, wow, why didn't I do this sooner? And then I switched to Resolve and I was like, whoa, okay, this is even better. God bless. So quite the experience for sure for me. All right, let's see. I think this is a grub menu we're getting. And what we can do is we're just going to go into here. And under the Linux one, we're just going to go no mode set. And let's try to boot this way. And then if this doesn't work, I'm going to just be like, forget it. We'll just go into like Arch and do this. Do it the hard way. We'll do it all through CLI. Yeah, I mean, Resolve works fine. You can modify your workflow to encode everything in like MKV using probably like a QuickTime format would probably be even better, like maybe 24-bit audio. You could do some stuff. Oh, that's weird. My system sounds like it's about to blow up. Holy crap. Well, that's concerning. Man, that was wild. All my fan speeds clocked up to 100%. All right, we're not using that image anymore. That was the last time we tried to boot into Parted Magic. No, I need to just go chill them, cut them like another $8 check and download the new ISO. Whoo! That was not good. That was wild. Yeah, the mode set I think was off a little bit, but that's okay. We're just gonna go directly in and probably Clonezilla. We'll just do direct Clonezilla, guys. I think that's the easiest way to get around this. Yeah, you use DD and it just works. Well, shoot, if DD works, we'll just DD it. Yeah, we don't need to get fancy. I guess I just wanted to show people the awesome glory of Gparted. Yeah, I've loaded up Olive. It's another free video editor. I put it a little bit behind Kdenlive. Kdenlive's still my favorite free video editor. You know what? Let's just boot to Arch. You do 64K? I do block size 1 meg AH. Is that too much? I feel like the 1 meg block size will get you a little bit further, right? And you do, what's the conv equals no error? I've used status and status progress before. But I don't think I've used the conv KONV flag before. All right, well, now we can definitely break the system, but we got to set something first. Because it's just no fun if you guys don't see it. Hey, Modern Paul, thanks for the raid, man. All right, we're going to go Terminus font. So we're going to set font Terminus. We'll go V26 bold. Yes. Well, that's odd. Correct set font. Oh, it's just set font. Okay. Let's go LS, user, share, KBD. Maybe I'm then just console. I know they have, yeah, no, I had it right. So just set font, ter, V, maybe I did C. Okay. What the hell? Why, oh, why is that not just set font, ter, V26B? Oh, there is no 26. It's 28. All right, good. All right, now you guys can see what we're about to do. We're just going to take SDF and we're going to DD NVMe in1. NVMe 1 in 1. Because that is not the Windows install. Right? Yes. Because only Windows would make a 16 megabyte partition. Nobody else is smoking that much crack as an operating system. So Here we go. DD input file equals the dev SDA or SDF, and the output file is going to be dev NVMe 1 in 1, and then we're going to use block size equals, I'm going to use the settings that AH gave me. 64K conv equals, and I was wondering about this. I think it was sync, and then the other option he was using was, was it no time? I can't remember. What was the other option he had up there? Oh, no error. Okay. And then we're going to do was it status equals progress? All right, cool. What do you guys think? Erase our entire drive, blow it all out for science? Anybody see any problems with this command? Speak now or forever hold your peace. It's about to go crazy. All right, here we go. I bet Bazzite's broken after that. Well, we'll see. Send it. Here we go. All right, so we have 500 megabytes a second, which is roughly about 4 gigabits a second. So we're maxing out the channel. Pretty solid. I'm sure the SSD's the one dragging that down. Right. It clones the UUIDs, AH. I think what we'll do is we're going to try and mount that BetterFS, specifically the root partition. So I think we can do a BetterFS mount command and specify subvol root. That's the subvol that the FS tab was using. And then we can manually edit the UUIDs directly in here without ever leaving. I kind of wanted to do some of this in a GUI so chat can follow along a little easier, but it's all your fault if this breaks. Just saying. It wasn't me. I mean, I love it. I love this stuff. It's really neat because you're not going to get this type of throughput usually using Windows. Doing like a disk copy or something like that, usually you don't see this type of progress. Now, I've done some bulk copies in a Windows instance, and a lot of times I think there's some really special tools out there if you do need to copy a ton of files. I remember at one point in time I was copying, it wasn't like a petabyte, but probably about 15 terabytes or something like that. And that was obviously going to take some time, and the business was down, so obviously time was of the essence. I think I ended up using, I want to say EM copy. It was an EMC tool that did threading a little bit better than like the robocopies and such of the day. This would have been 10 years ago, so that's probably changed. Knowledge might be a little dated up here, but I do remember using EM copy to try and get that done a little quicker. And it did save my bacon. I would say it transferred probably 10 times faster because it was just using a ton of threading. Yeah, not Terracopy. Terracopy would have bombed out in this. There's over 1 million files. Yeah, using any kind of a GUI explorer in that was not an option. You're using CLI. You're using a CLI command. You go over 1 million files and get into the terabytes, you'd have to be an absolute insane person to use a CLI tool for that. I mean, could you imagine getting like 3 hours into the copy and then just having the CLI crash on you? I'm sure somebody out there's tried it and had that happen. When working, are you mostly spending your time in Linux or Windows? Well, it depends. If I'm at my work, Windows. Mainly because we need like RSAT tools and other things like that. So let's say I want to log into like a domain controller. Yeah, you really not. I guess you could do like Ramina. If I wanted to cheese it, I would just do Ramina. But inevitably what I'd do is I'd get into work and I'd Ramina into probably one of the DCs, and then just be like, all right, cool. And then just be sitting there on a Windows server doing all my stuff. But that'd be a little cheating. And I think at one time I was actually kind of doing that when I was doing full Linux mode. Anytime I go to work, I'd just remote into the server, the Windows server, and just be like, I'm going to work off of this. But yeah, you kind of want like RSAT tools and other native Windows things, and interfacing with like map drives and things like that. You just, Windows is going to be a better option in my work environment. But like for here at the house, YouTube videos and such, I have a pretty good split. YouTube videos, for a while there, it was almost 100% Linux all the time, as I was saying. But then when I took one of my sysadmin scripts and kind of turned it into the Windows toolbox, and then that morphed into the Windows utility, that's when now I'm splitting my time about 50-50. So I have about 50% of the time I'm in Windows working on Windows util, and then 50% of the time I'm in Linux. Having said that, if I'm out here, I'm in both all the time. So whether that is a VM running in the background in my studio PC, like the one we're working on right now that we're fixing, or streaming. Obviously, the stream PC is all Windows because I have like an Elgato prompter, an Elgato Lite. All the fixins pretty much run off of Windows only kind of products for that section. So I'm in both a ton. Windows, I'd say these days there's not a day that I don't boot into Linux and Windows. Like I always boot both, and frankly I like it that way. I know that sounds crazy, but I tell you, I just like it. I like both. Like Windows, if I stay too long in one specific operating system, like there's still times where I'm like, Linux is pissing me off, I'm not gonna do this, and then I move to Windows for like a good bit, where maybe like a month, where I don't really boot up. I still have Linux on a lot of machines, and I'm just not booting into them as much. I've had that happen in the past couple of years, and then I'm on Windows for about a month or two. Inevitably, Windows ends up doing an update or something happens, or I'm like, damn it, I just can't stand this thing that Microsoft keeps doing. And then I end up always going back. It's like a season with me. And then I'm usually more primarily that pendulum will swing, and I'm in Linux all the time. And I kind of go back and forth a lot because of that. And like I said, most of my expertise lie in both at this point. Almost all of them, because most people kind of get familiar, like programmers you probably follow here on like Twitch would probably be most of them, I think, would probably use Linux. Like if you're like a Rust programmer, it feels awful to be in PowerShell using Rust and Cargo and all that stuff, and like NeoVim and those types of things. You're not going to have a good time in Windows. It's just going to be an inferior experience. So a lot of those guys are just like, screw that, I'm using Linux. And they just main Linux all the time. For me, I don't really have that. A lot of times I come in and I'm like, okay, Linux is awesome for this, and this. And then I'm like, oh, but I kind of need these other things too in Windows. So that's why I end up always using both, because there's times that one of the operating systems will do something better. But yeah, I wouldn't say I main one or the other these days. It just depends on the situation. Yeah, SATA speeds are the 500 megabytes per second. That's going to be that old, well, heck, I think I have another one over there. It's one of those old Samsung Evo drives. You know, we remember they used to be all the rage 10 years ago. My goodness, you're placing the spinning platters with the Samsung Evos. That's what we're rocking. The whole point of this is to take everything off that drive. Imagine if you could program a microwave to drive a car by using radio waves. Oh, YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, my friend from Sweden sent me 3 Samsung 4 terabyte SATAs for free. Oh, geez. Yeah. I mean, it's still a lot better than the 4 terabytes you get on like Spinning Platter. I think I still have some of the Spinning Platters. Why don't you try single GPU pass-through? I actually get a lot of comments about single GPU pass-through. It's actually really simple. It sucks. It's even more complex than the pass-through I just did, and you can't use your Linux instance. So you might save a little bit of time by doing it, but not really. I mean, you just dual boot at that point, right? Like, it kind of sucks to like shut down and not have access to Linux to boot into your Windows to do a single GPU pass-through. And then you can't jump back to Linux until you shut down the Windows instance to get the GPU back so you can display what's on Linux. Just dual boot at that point. Like, it doesn't make any logical sense to me. So that's why I'll never cover single GPU pass-through. It's cool, but it's like, just dual boot. Unless you really like pass-through and you really like the technical challenge, that I could see the fun in that. But as far as actually practicality of it, there really isn't much there. In just my opinion. Somebody else might have a different opinion for sure. It's just, that's why I never really bother with it too much. Ever dual boot Windows with Windows? Well, I mean, does Hyper-V count? Because yeah, all the time. Virtualization is a thing. And Hyper-V's pretty much type 1, so there you go. But honestly, when I'm in Windows and I do a lot of hypervisor type stuff, I kind of like just using like a VM workstation setup. I have a license, and VMware Workstation works really good. Is it worth using an iGPU for Linux and then using pass-through for a discrete GPU? Yeah, I think that's a really good use case. That's a great use case for PCI pass-through. Especially if you're not going to be playing a bunch of games on your Linux instance. I'm going to grab a water real fast. Ooh, man. Best way to run a retro Windows 98 machine? VirtualBox probably has some really good templates set up. A lot of people love VirtualBox. I'm not a fan, but teach his own. VMware Workstation dead on the vine, so to speak. I don't know. I know VMware changed up some of their licensing, but from the business standpoint, everything's still VMware. No businesses are really moving. I mean, sure, the YouTubers are like, what the hell? All my VMware licenses using the EXI is up. And I get it, but all businesses still use VMware. Like, yeah. They ain't switching. I'm just saying what is the reality of it. I don't know any of my buddies that are in IT that are like, oh my God, we're moving from VMware because of the new licensing. I'd be like, most of them just didn't care. You know, their budgets are like, oh, okay, the licensing went from $100,000 to $250,000. They're like, cool, moving on. Anyways, that's the reality of the business world. VMware is fine. It killed the home lab scene, is the license change. Yeah, and that's the big thing, because a lot of people use the home labs to learn VMware. You don't want to learn in production. So them killing the licensing and a lot of the home lab experience didn't make any sense to me, because a lot of up and coming people are now not going to be able to learn it very well. I mean, I guess they could install it and use the trial period, like 30 days or whatever it is. It's been, you know, that'd be cool. But other than that, I'm like, I don't know. Man, Bazzite has been just fantastic. I have loved it. Oh, you just finished Matt KC's video. Windows 95. Ah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love Matt KC's video. Porting all those .NET applications to Windows 95. That's just so cool to see. I mean, it's absolutely pointless, and he spent 6 months of his life doing it. But amazing. The guy's insane. That was the most well done video I've ever seen on YouTube. I'd say the most impressive video I've ever seen on YouTube. It was so epic. Right now, we're cloning a drive, an old SSD drive, over to an NVMe. It's only a 500 gig, so we're almost to the end here, guys. Once we finish with this, we got to mount it, got to get on it, and change the FS tab so we can boot to it. Because if we don't boot to it, it'll just spit over to the other SSD, which is no bueno. But Bazzite is super cool. I am really enjoying it, like learning app images, and I found a new tool. There's been several programs I've been turned on to from Bazzite. The first was Gear Lever from using app images. That's been amazing. The next would have been PTY XS, the terminal they use that is kind of specialized because it can read your distro box containers and has some really amazing integration. Love it. It's really cool. I don't know if I'll keep it. I still like to kind of remain on one terminal and just kind of type everything in, but I'm weird. That's not normal. I understand most people won't want that, and there's a lot of quality of life to that terminal. So once I learn everything, I'm like, okay, we're good. I'll probably move on from it. But past that, you know, the distro box setup was amazing on it. The pass-through was relatively painless. I mean, I obviously cheated a little bit. I had some help with from Hikari Knight, which is like Bazzite specialist for pass-through. So that's kind of not fair of me to say it was easy. I would just say, hey, I had the right guy in my corner to help out with it. But it was relatively painless moving from the Arch to the Bazzite version. We were able to keep the whole drive and all the information on there. All the gaming's been solid. A little bit of a pickup on the FPS because of the Bazzite optimizations. They specifically built the kernel. I think it has like an F-Sync patch and some other goodies in there, because I did notice about I would say probably about a 10% uplift from our bare Arch using a mainline kernel. Yeah. And then you got the Atomic desktop type system with the RPM tree and the images. That's really cool. I love the fact that it doesn't allow you to change a whole lot in the base system, but it allows you to change enough. So it's not like the Steam Deck where you really got your hands tied. It just is really neat. And yeah, I mean, like I said, the true test is give me 30 days on it. You know, give me 30 days. If 30 days I'm still saying all this, well, damn, everyone's going to be using it is what that means. All right, here we go. We're done. So now we have our systems. We have our NVMe drive there. Ooh, I need to resize that drive. What's the command to resize? I think it's resize 2FS. Help. Maybe I don't just pound away at that. Yeah, Gparted makes it way easier. Yeah. Well, just partition 3 thinks it's 500 gigs. So I need to change that. Use the size command. Size, help. What do we have? Well, CF disk I could see could be a little problematic because you got to resize the file system. I want to say resize 2FS is what I've used in the past. And then once you do that, you have to mount then you mount that, and then you got to resize the volume inside of BetterFS to expand out to the 500. Much like you do at LVM, I want to say. Yeah, we'll see. Anyways, it's not important for now. It's not like we're running out of space. Just something to note. Let's go mount, help. And what we're going to do is mount dev NVMe 1, N1, P1, or P3, I think it was. Oh, heck, I don't even remember. Yeah, okay. Mount dev NVMe 1, N1, P3. Okay, yeah. That's what we need. And I want to say we can do... Let's go less. I want to say we use the -O option. And then we also need to use the type option. And with O, I think we can go and do subvol. Yeah, we'll see. Damn it, I can't remember. Let's just do a Pac-Man, elinks. Let's go SY. Actually, you know, W3M, I kind of like better. So let's go W3M Google. And what we're going to grab here is mount. Oops. Quit. Yeah, oops. Screwed that up. Okay. And for the text, we need mount better FS. Better FS. Subvol command. And then search. Okay. All right. I can't remember the exact command, so just bear with me for a second. So you do the mount -O. We can skip the compress. We can do subvol equals root, the device, and then where we want to put it. Easy. Okay, cool. That's what I needed. I couldn't remember exactly the command, but now we got it. So now we just go mount -O subvol equals root, and then we go dev NVMe 1 and 1p3, and then we're going to toss this in MNT. So then when we go into MNT, we should have everything here. This is not what I need. Shit. No. Well, which partition has the etc in it then? So this partition, the root, has root. Maybe it's under root. It is not. It is not under root. What? Damn. Not what I wanted. All right. This went off the rails all of a sudden. There is no etc folder. Yeah, where'd the etc folder go? I don't know. Is it under? Is etc under deploy OST? I don't know. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I don't know. If we can't find etc, we're gonna have a hell of a time mounting it properly. It's in here. It's in here. 1 second. I swear. Sometimes the help command's not even helpful. Let's try OS tree. Let's try boot. What is in here? Okay, nothing. Well, let's try boot. Okay. Default. Okay. What's in here? Man, there ain't jack in here, guys. All right. Well, no. Where is it? Okay, P1 is going to be, those are both the boot folder itself. So how Fedora always spins it is 1 gig will go there, and then 1 gig will be /boot, and the 600 meg is always going to be EFI, which is boot EFI. So those other partitions can't be it. It's in here somewhere. We need to do a recursive search, and I can't remember. Is it sysroot? It is not under sys. All right. Well, that's okay. We'll find it. We'll find it. TLDR? No. Let's go Pac-Man. I can't remember how to use find. That's just, I always use my silly alias, and I am worthless without it. Hopefully our live media is able to keep up with some of these packages I'm using. All right, TLDR. Let's go TLDR find. All right. So we're going to go find MNT, and we're going to go name FS tab. Find it for me. Okay. We just didn't go deep enough. It's obviously in this folder. Okay. We found it. It's in, there's only 2 deploy folders, but it is in deploy. It goes, so how FS tab is hidden inside of this using OS tree is it's in OS tree from the root, deploy, default, deploy, the hexadecimal folder, and then etc. We were so close. I just didn't go deep enough. Man, that was funny. Let's go. Let's start with 94. We're going to change both. And then etc fs tab. Vim fs tab. And there we go. There's all of our beautiful things we need. So now let's grab it all. Let's go retrieve. Let's go retrieve. And we're just going to go cat BOK ID. No, let's just go BOK ID. We're just going to blow it all up here. Alrighty. Now, we just got to find the UUID. So we're going to go NVMe E1, P3, Bazzite Fedora, right here for the label. And the UUID is going to be this one. So we're just going to grab this, yank, and then we come up to here and we find there's boot, there's home. Did it change it already for me? Wait a second. 763. 763. Wait. Why didn't the UUID change? Is the UUID the same? Oh, okay. The UUID didn't change because it didn't. Okay. So it copied the UUID to the NVMe because we were using Disk Destroyer. Okay. I was imagining these were actually going to change, but they actually didn't. Okay, cool. Yeah, because we DD'd it. That's the easy way. So then we don't need to do any of this. I was just making things harder than it needed to be. Huh. Well, that's cool. Now we just got to blow out, what is it, SDF? I don't think I'm going to do that. Hear me out. I think I'm going to remove SDF. Well, no, I should delete it. Okay, let's run gdisk. I agree. Gdisk. Gdusk. All right. Found valid GPT with productive NPR using GPT. Looks good to me, right? Yeah, looks good. I guess we could run a scan, right? I don't think we need it though. I do want to expand this out though. I think we just got really lucky on that. Well, I don't think it's mounted now. Go LSB okay. You see it's not mounted. Yeah. All right. CG disk? Sure. E1N1? Oh, found problems on disk. Use verify function to learn more problems. Okay. All right, let's see. Second header indicates at the end of the disk if you added the disk, blah, blah, blah. All right, enter to continue. Hey, Rob, how you doing, man? Thanks for the raid, brother. Okay. Well, this just went south. How's it going, Jalopy? Yeah. So I just finished that. I think what we do, side at the end of the disk. So is it just asking me to come down to the end and just verify? I'm not sure what okay, second header self pointer problem indicates it doesn't reside at the end of the disk. If you've added a disk from array, blah, 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 there is a gap between the second partition table. It's generally ill-advised. Using K on experts menu can adjust the gap. Ah, okay. So we use expert menu. Where the hell's the expert menu? Is it K? Okay, K doesn't do anything. Is there... I've never used CG disk expert menu. Has anybody? Is this... We already know the verification's not right. Huh. Just run SFC scan now. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're gonna I don't want to screw that up. I totally see what you guys are talking about, but right now it's not reading the correct in space to this disk. Just simply going into gparted. I wonder if gparted will boot for me. Let's try. Let's just do a reboot. Yeah. Make sure we do a DISM restore health online. And then if that goes south, we can use sources. You know, I think I'm gonna pull this one drive. I probably should have shut off the computer before pulling that SATA drive off of the hot swap bay, but I like to live dangerously. I missed it, didn't I? Oh, snap. Where's it going to go? Okay, well, that's something. Okay. Well, I guess we're booting in. I did pull the drive out that we had Bazzite installed on. So this is the NVMe. But I want to fix the size of this. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, I mean, this could bomb out, but I don't think it's that big a deal. Either way, my professional opinion, not that big a deal. And I got a wolf protecting my security. HP Wolf Security. It's just a server workstations. All right. Well, that did work, but we now need to restart just to see where we're at. We'll just do LSB. Okay. You can see it's all on the NVMe now, which is good, but I want to adjust this size. The easy way to do it would have been through, actually, before we reboot, I want to show you what I was thinking. If you wanted to, let's say you needed to do this in like a CLI environment. Resize to FS. Hell, you know what? I think I've done an article on this when I was doing LVMs. What was it? Yeah, okay. Resize the file system to the size of the logical. Oh, okay. So resize will resize the logical volumes is what I was thinking. I don't know if that's applicable to BetterFS. So here's resizing an LVM partition right here. All right, let's see what was happening here. I think I was messing around and I had to do a region from dry cut. Okay, resizing this VG display, which let's see. Yeah, I think BetterFS does, but you need to probably initiate it. Oh, it has gparted built in. Okay. Well, I just want to show that. So VG display, sudo. Okay, there is no volume groups, so it's not an LVM. However, I think in BetterFS, I've done another article. You guys thought I made articles for you guys. You're wrong. I'm just a selfish man. I just make them for myself. You just so happen to look at them. All right, let's look at the ButterFS file system show. Okay, sudo ButterFS fi show. Okay, there's that path, but I want to say there's a command in ButterFS to. Okay, there's sub volume performance. What was it? I don't think we can do it with it mounted, but I just wanted to know the command to manipulate those BetterFS volumes, because I know you can do that with the sub volume. I'm just drawing a blank. Maybe it automatically does it. All right. Well, regardless, I think we can go. Let's just grab the live version from old Ubuntu. Noble Numbat. Man, I hadn't installed the new Ubuntu yet. Has it gotten better, guys? Spoiler, probably not. It was a rhetorical question. Do you cringe when you see someone on YouTube running Open Media Vault? I do. Oh, I just say bless their heart. Yeah, this is not the best. How big is the ISO these days? Oh shoot, 5 gigs? Damn. All right. Yeah, Ubuntu has not a bad tool set for sure built in. I like to use a large one a little bit more just because it's such a small ISO. And if you know the CLI commands, you're good. But the live environment from the Ubuntu one is pretty good. Oh, really? Phoronix gave it a positive review. All right. They're probably still trying to install Snap on everything, though. I wonder if they'll ever give out that Snap tree. I mean, Ubuntu's like the Trump of the Linux world, man. He just keeps doubling down on bad calls. Oh, you know, they gotta give up Snap soon, though, right? They just have to. Yeah, anywho, I think we'll be fine. You got a bad mirror for sure. What did it give me? CD image, Ubuntu. I just gave me in the daily log. It's not that bad. About a couple minute download for 5 or 6 gigs. I mean, honestly, yeah, it probably should take about 2 minutes to download that, but it's not that slow. In my mind, package manager should stop existing. Everything's Flatpak or app image. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's parts of me that I like some things running in Flatpak or app image, but other things like NeoVim, where I want it on the actual system in binary form, and I want every single ounce of speed out of it, and I want it sitting on the hardware, on the main system. So I don't know. I think there is places in the world for both. I see why both exist, and I'm thankful for that. Being pigeonholed only to use Flatpak or app image would kind of suck in some instances. Yeah, now that Damie I could kind of get behind. Alternative to Flatpak like Brew or Nix. Honestly, Nix packages does it pretty well too. I mean, it's like its own package manager though. That's like just saying, hey, we should all use apt, or we should all use Pacman or DNF. All of it. Yeah. So I mean, I get it. Oh my god, the Manjaro challenge. Oh. Oh, yikes. I don't think I could watch that video again. I would cringe so hard. All right, I'm going to pull up my images here. Yeah, I mean, ads, I get it. Necessary evil, I suppose. I mean, some creators live solely off of AdSense and ads. I'm not one of them, but so I'm like, hey, you want to use ad block, go for it. But I get it. All right, we're coming up on the end of this. I'm actually gonna delete this guy and FS10. Yeah, leave that there. Yeah, Nitro, nice, nice. Yeah, if you're an avid like stream watcher, I totally see the value there. Much like YouTube Premium for a lot of YouTubers out there. Although YouTube, I think they're about to do a huge crackdown. I think I heard something in that they're about to go back. You remember when they did that whole ad block thing and everybody was up in arms? Well, apparently that's going to become a thing again. They're going to start blocking ad blockers again, which I hate because I use a lot of ad blocking on my own system. So like when we're on the TV or something like that, it's going to block ads, or if you jumped on my home network and you tried to like browse the internet, you'll notice, oh, there's no ads because I block all of them from a DNS perspective. All right, we got the Noble desktop. I'm actually going to rename that a little bit because I am not going to remember what the hell the Noble desktop is. Ubuntu 24. And we need to label it desktop. All right, we got Ubuntu 24 on there. The Noble Numbat. We can load that up and move on. Ooh, I think on this one to boot. It's always weird. I don't know why my keyboard doesn't work on boot. Kind of annoying. Yeah, I'm about to do another like Pi-hole video kind of explaining that. Because like you set up Pi-hole mainly for like parents and stuff too. So what happens a lot of times is you set up a Pi-hole to block ads and, you know, naughty sites and those types of things. And then you have to set up recursive DNS so it is fast and can cache things. And then on top of that, you also probably want to set up some DNS blocks. So if you have teenagers or something like that, and you're like, hey, I don't want them changing the DNS and then getting around all my blocks, you need to put in those. I wanted to do a video kind of showcasing all of that. I just haven't got around to it. But I mean, if you're like, let's say you do have a kid at home and you're afraid he might figure out how to change the DNS on you, then just block port 53 and put everything through a local DNS. and then that local DNS, like the pie hole, and you're blocking everything from that, then say, hey, the only thing allowed to use port 53 is the IP of that pie hole. And that's essentially what it's doing. So all routers, all firewalls can do that. And then your kids can't jump on and circumvent any of your blocks. That's what we do in business. It's pretty simple solution. I don't think that there's probably somebody on YouTube that's explained it. Would have easily found a workaround. Yeah. I mean, it depends on how much you want to lock down a network. The workaround that most people would do for that, the next thing would be to block like all proxies and VPNs. That's pretty easy to do. So then your clients can't use VPNs or proxies to encrypt their traffic and get around your DNS blocks. So then what? They can't use custom DNS servers. They can't use proxies. They can't use VPNs. What's the next thing that they can do to try and get around that? Maybe like a VPS somewhere with remote desktop, and then you pull in the traffic that way. I mean, you'd have to get pretty creative. Not to say it couldn't be done. There's always a way. But yes, it would get very, very tricky, especially for someone young. Yeah. Wi-Fi 5G hotspot. Yeah. I think I'm going to go safe graphics on this one just because we got the 2 GPUs. Tunnel over IMCP. Oh, yeah. We got the VFIO pass-through working at the start of the stream. It only ended up taking like 40 minutes. Can you believe that? We had everything kind of fall our way. I think we had like some permissions issue, and that may come back to bite me. We'll see. But for the most part, it worked pretty seamless. Yeah, I mean, there's always another network. There's always a bypass. I think that's the thing that most people miss. Always a different way. That's like people that say, I'll never get hacked. I'm like, well, dude, I know quite a bit, but I never would say that. I mean, there's just so many things that can get you. All right, let's see. What do we have? Do we have a G parted? Ah, nice. Let's fix. All right, so let's go to NVMe 1. Perfect. And then let's resize. Side move. All right. Check that. Apply. Oh, yeah. So you got the grow. So you can do BetterFS check the device, and then you calibrate it, and then it's check and fix. Grow partition. Grow system. Okay. This is the thing I love about Gpart is here's the commands I was looking for in Arch. The BetterFS check for checking the file system. That should have probably checked and fixed some of the problems. Then we're making a Gparted directory. Interesting. Mounting this to the Gparted directory. Okay, that makes sense. Then doing a file system resize 1:max. Okay, so you do BetterFS like FI space resize space 1 to max in this mounted. Then you unmount, remove. Okay. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'll have to remember those commands. I'll probably forget them, but at least this live stream will be here and be like, you know what? That one time on the live stream I did it. Let me just pull up that part of the video. I'm going to bookmark that, or at least I hope I do. All right, let's reboot. I wish I liked the GNOME design, but it's just utter trash to me. Life would probably be simpler if I did. Yep. Yeah, I mean, GNOME's an interesting beast. Personally, it's just like a Mac aesthetic to me, and I really don't like the Mac aesthetic, and that's why grinds my gears with GNOME. The other thing with GNOME that doesn't make any sense to me is the extensions. Like, the extensions always break with every update, and they're managed and installed through a damn browser. And I'm like, I can't think of a worse delivery system, and I can't think of a worse maintenance system than GNOME. Like, the fact it's still one of the most popular desktop environment kind of blows my mind. And my system just turned off. Why'd you turn off? Oh, maybe my hard drive was a fan of GNOME, and I just insulted it. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe not. Yeah, why did the computer turn off there? It's a good question. Maybe that was the design coming off of the Ubuntu drive. Maybe. Okay, there we go. It's like, my system just like, oh, Titus used Ubuntu. I'm out. I'm shutting down. He's betrayed me. I'm sorry, guy. Sorry, fella. I won't do that again. Chat told me to do it. It's all their fault. They're the ones that said to use Ubuntu. I didn't want to. Didn't sound like a good idea, but it did work. So I'm okay. But we won't do that again. All right, here we go. Now, if this works how I think it's going to work with better FS, the file system will already be grown. It's a lot faster than LVMs were back in the day. Like I kind of showed you the LVM process. I think with better FS, we're just going to boot in and we're going to have like 1.5 terabytes of free space. That would be nice. We'll see. All right. Let's just go home. Oh, I like that. 1.7 terabytes free. Well, let's just pull up our trusty look at LSB. Sweet. And then let's do it. The final. Disk-free, human readable. What's our home folder look like? What are we looking at here? Looking at absolute beautiful, beautiful setup. Var home. Used 164 gigs. Free 1.7 terabytes. It just works. It just works. We've migrated from the crappy SSD drive into this. And heck, we've expanded it. I was just curious. Yeah, see? So this UUID will never change. The problem I have is if I ever use that SSD again, I probably should plug that up with like a USB and then just wipe it out. So I initialize it outside, and then I'll plug it back in when it's fresh. Because the main issue I have is since it's plugging directly into a hot swap bay, I have to shut off the computer, and then the computer would get confused because I'd have two SSDs with the same UUID. So I'll just load it up with a USB and then wipe it out probably. But pretty cool. All right. Fixed Fedora with Ubuntu with Gparted. We've moved everything from that SSD to this one. We've done our pass-through. If we look at this, well, let's launch our Windows instance just to see that work again. I do wonder if we run into that permissions issue again. That's something I'm kind of questioning. Yeah, see, I figured that was going to happen. I kind of knew it was going to happen. Yeah, okay. Long-term fix here. I'll probably do this offline sometime. Ah, shit, I probably should just fix it right now. So what's happening is every time you go to launch this, or let's say you reboot the computer, if we look at the shim, let's just go ls dev shim. Let's do AL. You'll notice it's actually assigned this way, which is like, okay, well, that's wrong. How to fix that? Maybe, you know, I think we've changed libvirt. That should be QEMU. Let's see, chown, Titus. Let's try QEMU. Looking Glass. Dev shim. Looking Glass. So then if we do it again, Let's see what this does. Does that change anything? Yeah, that fixed it. Yeah, that was me just being a bonehead. That fixed it. All right, well, easy enough. If we go to etc, I think it's temp files D, looking glass comp. I am a normal user because stuff. All right, let's sudo that. Instead of libvirt, this should be QEMU. Yeah, so that would fix it. So now if you look at this, next time it reboots and this gets reset again, which it gets reset a bunch. We just got to make sure that that comp file works well. So with that done, we can go to like any workstation, Windows W, and Windows. We got the Windows up. Oh, that was kind of weird. I kept seeing stuff on YouTube saying there's going to be start menu ads. I think that was kind of a lie. I was like kind of hoping that was going to happen to my instance here. But I did not see any. I'm running the dev/canary channel, I think it is. And I haven't seen any ads. So, yeah. That might be some BS that YouTubers are spinning on you. I was kind of hoping like maybe one would pop up in my file explorer too. Yeah. Anywho. That works good. So probably what I do from here is launch this without Virt-Manager. To finish out the night with the PCI pass-through, we fixed pretty much everything that you can fix on it. The thing that I would do is if you go sudo virsh, you have some commands here. And what we can do is set specific virtual machines to start on boot. Now you might be thinking, damn, Titus, you're going to waste a lot of resources and you're going to really spend a lot more money and electricity by booting this thing like this. And you'd be right. But I'm really lazy and I just want it always running in the background. And since I use Windows and Linux a ton, I don't really care. I'd rather it just be running and I just press a hotkey and I'm in my Windows. So I'd probably just do auto start, virsh, auto start, and then the domain. So if we go sudo virsh list, you can see there's the domain name. So we go sudo virsh auto start win11. Done. So now Windows 11 auto starts on startup, and anytime we need it, you just go hotkey magic, and there comes our Windows. And then we can do our stuff and then be like, all right, well, I'm done with you. And then come back into here and move around. So a perfect end to a perfect stream. We've got Virt done. We've moved our stuff. We are fully on Bazzite using Passthrough with all my tools, all my fixins. And I'm trying to think if we're missing anything. We've already run into a couple things where I'm like, oh, I need that or I need this. But it just works really, really well. Now, a lot of people, but to end this out, I see one question in chat that has been asked a lot, especially on this last video about Nabara versus Bazzite. I don't want to minimize Glorious Egg Roll's contribution because Glorious Egg Roll's in charge of Nabara. And he's the one that makes Glorious Egg Roll's Proton, Proton GE. It is a great distro for those diehard Linux users out there that are fine with Fedora and want to game a bunch. So if you're a Linux vet and you really like having access to DNF and having a fully mutable system, mutable, not immutable, that means you can change anything you want. You can break it over your knee if you want easily. Then Nabara is for you. If you've used Linux less than 2 years, you should just use Bazzite. So that's like kind of where I'm at. It depends on you as a person. There's a world where both are good. But for a majority of users out there, especially the non-technical users, Bazzite's going to treat them a hell of a lot better than Nabara will. Because it's harder to break. It's a lot harder to break. The image system is the way to go. I really think this this kind of strikes a good middle ground, because the Steam Deck, you just can't break. You literally, let's say you do something that screws up the Steam Deck, you just reboot it and it's going to restore itself. You just update it. It's going to wipe everything out, all your customizations, and redo itself. So you can't really break the Steam Deck because it's fully immutable. And then you have Nabara, which is more of a traditional Linux desktop that you can change anything. You can go sudo DNF, install the world, and you can just put everything you want in there, and it's really good. But at the same time, you can put anything you want in there that can be really bad too. So it's very easy to break when it comes to customization goes. Then you have in the middle Bazzite. And Bazzite is an atomic desktop, which means you can change some things like etc, FS tab, and those types of things. Like I was kind of messing around today. You can change a lot of the system configuration, but you can't really add packages. You can't just DNF install the world. You're kind of stuck on what they have. And if you want to add packages, you have to use DistroBox. You have to use Flatpak. You have to use App Image. And that's a really good thing for a new user because it puts the guardrails on them and makes sure they don't blow up their system. You can still blow it up, but it's a lot harder than Nabara. So Bazzite to me is perfect for the average day person. For me personally, which would I rather have? Bazzite or Nabara, as someone that's just used the living crap out of Linux and blown it up and installed a new operating system, new distro every month for past 5 years. I still like Bazzite better. That should tell you something. Now, having said that, I'm still in the honeymoon phase. This is still the first week. You know, it's like getting a new girlfriend. You're like, hey, this is amazing. You gotta wait for a good month. You know, we'll see what I say here in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a week. I don't know. You guys know me. We'll see how quickly I can find something and break it. The fact I've gotten as far as I am, it's already well exceeded all my expectations. So hopefully that answers your question. I honestly think most users, if you have to ask the question, you should probably use Bazzite. I think it's amazing. I really do. I think it's such a great take on an operating system. And I look forward to more distros kind of copying this method. Not necessarily using like Fedora Universal Blue. There's other things that kind of use this containerized type system like Vanilla OS that's more Debian based. There's going to be more on the Arch side that's kind of out there. Like Bazzite already actually has a spin in Arch. I think it's like Bazzite Arch. I don't think it's maintained as much, but you get the point. You're going to see more distros that are in this atomic section, and it's a good thing, and it's going to really help mainline a lot of normal users into Linux, because normal users, I've seen it time and time again, they get into Linux, they start messing around, they copy some old wiki and then blow up their system. Or they install a whole bunch of crap from the AUR, blow up their system. Whether it's Manjaro, Arch, you name it. It's just a matter of time before they blow it up usually. And that's just the rite of passage. But if you're doing something like this, you really can't. And that's beautiful in its own right. Now, whether or not it bothers me in the long run, that's what I don't know. Like, do I lose any performance? Does this finally just like, oh crap, I'd just rather have the binary on my system? Maybe. But so far, no. So far, I'm like, let's just keep rolling. I'm waiting for this to really hit the roadblock, and it hasn't yet. I figured we run into it with Passthrough, because Passthrough is kind of a pain in the butt on any system, and we still got that going. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I think if I had to pick out one thing that I would change, and this is something that I might actually take a stab at, maybe use an RPM OS tree, or the OS tree, whatever it is, and then rolling a DWM instead of a KDE GNOME. KDE GNOME, both are very heavy, and I don't like that. I really don't like how heavy I think Bazzite is. It's a big install, and there's a big desktop environment because it's meant for normal users. But I would like to see maybe taking it and then stripping out all that and then just having like a DWM simple install that's minimal. That is also in this atomic realm. That's never been done. Be kind of cool. I don't know. It's getting late. I'm starting to talk nonsense. I want to just leave you guys with that. This was fun. A blast of a stream. I hope you had a good time. I'll see you probably next week or maybe this weekend. We'll see what happens. I still got to make a couple more videos. I'm still cranking them out every 2 days on the main channel, sticking to it. I said for at least an entire month I'm doing that, and man, I'm really digging it. I'm really digging it. I'm more than anything, I'll miss a live stream and get that. But I was just so pumped about Bazzite and really trying this weird experiment. I don't think this is really going to make a whole bunch of more content. I think it's more of just I enjoy it, and I thought, hell, I'm going to live stream it. So with that, guys, have a great one. This was fun. This is fun. We accomplished everything that we set out to do on this stream and more. And I love my new ultimate system. But for how long? I don't know. Oh, crap. One other thing. Where's my synergy? That would have been great to end right there, but synergy. Yeah, there we go. All right. Now we can leave. Have a great night. Peace all.